for the best coverage of the Utes and Cougars as they get ready for the 2025 season.
Ready?
You're locked on to Big 12 Media Day coverage, live from Frisco, Texas. Presented by Window World. Want a window quote without all the baloney? High quality, amazing prices. Check out Window World today. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, everybody, welcome on in. It's Big 12 Media Days. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Thanks for being with us on the program. Oh, man. We were just talking about how some of these players, you know, they were wearing the uniforms for most of the day, and then look at the three-piece suit that Avery Johnson's rocking right now. That's a look. It's purple. It's three pieces.
It's floral. I feel like I'm back in the 60s.
with the hair especially.
I'm pretty sure that my Aunt Carol had a suit just like that. Just a beautiful purple floral.
Same hair, too. Same hair. We're at Big 12 Media Days. I wish you guys could hear the off-air conversations.
Not all of them.
I mean, these are precious moments here at the Ford Center in Frisco. Hans Olsen, Patrick Kinahan. You can't blame us at this point. We're delirious, and that's the way we set up media days, right? It's just like by the end of the day, we're getting all the guys on here, we're getting all the coaches on here. Speaking of coaches, one of the ones that I wanted to get into, and this portion of the show, by the way, brought to you by G2G Bars, all natural ingredients, no preservatives, make the G2G Bar the perfect protein bar. Give it a shot. Let me see here. I think we have Matt Campbell. Alex Napolis has taken over. I think he's our fourth producer today that we've had on the air here with us. No problem. But Alex Napolis just took over at the studios in Salt Lake, and I think we have Matt Campbell available to be able to play from the podium. This is Iowa State's head coach. He's sort of floated under the radar here. By the way, Matt Campbell had 11. They were 11-2 last year, 11-3. I think because they played the extra one in the Big 12 championship game, so they're 11-3.
I think they lost that game.
They did lose that game. They blew out whoever they played. I think it was Miami in their bowl game, and that's the first time in 133 years that program has had a double-digit win season.
That's a fact.
And Matt Campbell is one of these guys. You brought it up. Hans is a guy who was like, hey, in years past, guys like Matt Campbell would find their way to UCLA, would find their way to fill-in-the-blank school that just has a bigger paycheck and has a bigger, recognizable brand. Fund, and a bigger brand. Iowa State's never been a brand football-wise that we looked at and went, oh, yeah. But they have been over the past few years, and it's another team who's returning a ton of guys, including their starting quarterback, Rocco Beck, who took them to the Big 12 championship last year. So here's Matt Campbell of the second place last year in the Big 12, Iowa State Cyclones, from the podium here at Big 12 Media Days.
First and foremost, just an honor to be here today. I can't believe we're going into our 10th football season here at Iowa State. It's truly an honor to represent Iowa State University, our athletic department, and certainly our football program. And from my standpoint, been really rewarding to watch our football program align itself back together in January. And really watch the strain of our young men really go to work on continuing to elevate our football program forward. And we brought 5 tremendous young men here today with us. I'd like to talk a little bit about each one of them really quick. On the defensive side of the football, we brought our senior safety, Jeremiah Cooper, a young man that started for 4 years in our football program, has had a tremendous career. Really coming off another great year as a junior, and certainly expecting his best going into his senior year. Senior defensive tackle, nose guard, defensive lineman, Dominic Orange. We feel like Dominic's got a chance to be one of the best players in the defensive line in the country. Really proud of what he's done and continues to do in our football program. Has made unbelievable growth on and off the football field, and certainly proud of who he is. And then junior defensive back, Jontez Williams, coming off 5 interception season from a year ago. Young man, one of the hardest workers in our football program, great young leader in our our football program. And then on the offensive side of the football, 2 young men came with us today. Senior 6-year offensive lineman, a young man that's had a tremendous career, 4-year starter the last 4 years, and Tyler Miller has had a tremendous career. You talk about leader of men, one of the great leaders in our football program. And then last but certainly not least is our junior quarterback, Rocco Beck. And Rocco has evolved into one of the best quarterbacks in college football, a guy that has been just a great leader in our locker room, stands for what's right, and certainly really proud of all he stands for and what he does for our football program. So for me, it's been great to align with our coaches. Like I said, these great young men. We've got 18 great seniors and a real great opportunity for Iowa State football to continue to grow itself forward. So with that said, we'll certainly answer any questions you'd have for us.
All right, we'll open up the questions to media. Please raise your hand if you have a question. We'll go here, center left. Barry.
Yeah, Barry Trammell, Tulsa World. Man, you're talking about Rocco. This is a pretty heavy quarterback league this year. A lot of veterans. Does that just keep you sort of even par? Does that keep you behind the 8 ball? What is happening?
Welcome back, Big 12 Media Days. Hans Olsen, PK. We're sitting in here having a blast at Big 12 Media Days. Alex has walked away from the mic, and we're just excited to welcome our next guest. He is the quarterback for Cincinnati, Brendan Sorsby, hanging out with us. Brendan, how are you? We're going to get your mic up here.
I got you there.
I think it's this one. There you go, Brendan.
Are we good?
Yep.
Yeah, we
There
are.
we go.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Excited to be here. Obviously, answering a couple of questions today.
Just a couple.
Just a couple.
What is this,
hundred.
number 20 for you?
Couple hundred has got to be, huh?
Yeah.
But, no, it's been good. I'm excited to be here.
Tell us what Cincinnati's doing to right the ship of, I think, a year that was underperforming for you guys. But then you also had, I think you guys know the talent level you're at. You beat Arizona State at home. That was a game that obviously Sam Levitt wasn't in, but you beat the Big 12 champions, and I think that kind of shows where you guys were at talent-wise, and if not being able to get everything together at once seemed to be part of the problem, I guess, for the Bearcats last year.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think it was just, the overarching theme was just consistency and then lack of discipline at times. We got to find a way to stack weeks and, focus one game at a time, though. I think we – later on when we had gotten 5-2, we started looking down the road a little too much. Hey, let's just win one more of the next however many to get to a bowl game, and I don't think that was the right mindset to approach it. And I think we kind of corrected that this offseason, going 1 week at a time, and I think we got a much more talented group overall, and I'm excited to see what we can do.
This is hometown for you. You grew up in this area. Coming back to this and having the kind of the Big 12, this is their headquarters and everything, and playing in the Big 12 and trying to bring all the recognition to Cincinnati that you guys deserve. Obviously, people like to talk about, well, you guys were not that long ago in the college football playoff, but that was ages ago. It seems like just because college football moves at such a quick pace. What have you guys done to get back to the spot? Because Coach Satterfield, obviously, you guys have a good program. You guys have great facilities. It's a great university. What's the next part to be able to turn that page to get back to that level of being that national prominent?
Yeah, obviously I think we think that we've done that already this offseason to get us to where we need to be success-wise for football. But time will tell, and time will reveal that. But like I said, I feel really confident in this group. I'm excited to see what we can do. We brought a bunch of playmakers in. And then, like you said as well at the beginning, I'm very excited to be back in Texas. Hopefully I'll be making a couple more trips down here.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's the end goal is to end back up in Dallas in the Big 12. So find our way back down here 1 week at a time and see what happens.
How far away is Denton?
25 minutes maybe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
I played in here my senior year of high school, like week 5 or 6, broke my throwing hand, so I don't have too many good memories.
Tyson Webb from Arizona State goes, I've caught touchdowns in multiple in both ends of these stadiums here.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
So a lot of these guys have come in here and they've had good memories because there's playoff games and all that comes with it. It's a tremendous thing to be able to watch kids go. You had a career, obviously, who you go from Indiana, you go to Cincinnati. What's the transfer process been like for you And then also just kind of that transition life of what so many of your teammates have gone through too.
Yeah.
Guys are in their third schools in some cases, and maybe fourth in some weird cases, but it happens.
No, for sure it does.
So how have you guys dealt with that as a team to be able to have that turnover of not just guys coming in, but guys leaving too?
Obviously I like to think that we brought in, the right pieces that fit our culture, whether it is their second, third, fourth school, whatever that may be. Guys that wanted to be at Cincinnati, and guys that are excited to play for Cincinnati as well. So, my transfer portal process was very quick once I got in, and, schools were reaching out to me. I was only in for like a week and a half, I think it was. Took one visit to Cincinnati, ended up pulling the trigger and ended up coming here and committing here on my visit. So it really wasn't too much of a crazy portal process for me, but definitely one that, I knew where I was supposed to be once I was on the visit, and I was excited to get there and get to work. Now this time around, being the guy that, people come in and they know that I'm the quarterback, it's nice to, show them around, make sure they're all squared away when they get here, and make sure that they know that they're wanted.
How tough is it to lose Corey Kiner?
Yeah, very tough loss. We got a great running back, though, in Tawee Walker to replace him. Kind of like it's going to be tough to replace Corey. Corey was a stud.
Yeah, he was unbelievable.
He was really, really good. One of my good buddies, still talk to him. He's always around whenever he has a break now. But just a great dude, too. But Tawee Walker, hopefully can bring that physicalness that Corey brought to the game as well.
4 transfers coming in at receiver. Now, you got a tight end who's really good, is going to be an NFL tight end.
Is that Royer? Is that who that is?
Yeah, I don't think anybody is arguing that. So you got him that you have familiarity with. But how do you get up to speed with these transfers? Because usually, you need some relationship between the quarterback and his receivers.
Yeah, no, for sure. This spring, obviously, it was nice to have all of those receivers that transferred in come in the spring so I could, throw to them for all 15 practices or whatever it was, and, a little extra stuff on the side. But I built a great relationship with them on and off the field, so I'm excited to see what these guys can do. I'm going to just, there will be some times where I'm just putting the ball up and letting those guys go to work for me. Really good players, excited to see what they can do, and then, like you said, we got a halfway decent tight end, Joe Royer, who can.
I know you smirked when I said that.
Exactly.
He's a beast.
He's my best friend. Lives right below me. So
Good to have friends like him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And he's only friends with me just because I'm the quarterback.
Yeah,
that's how.
Which is what. Well, that's what the receivers. They should be bringing you lunch and stuff. So they court favors with you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm just, I don't throw the receivers the ball enough. I have to hear about it. Then I don't throw Joe the ball enough. I got to hear about it. Then I'm not handing the ball off enough. So I'm like, okay, what is it, guys? So, everybody's really supportive of each other. We don't have too many divas or anything. I always mess with the wideouts about being divas, but. No, I'm really excited about our group of guys, and, we just got a bunch of good dudes on there, too.
Cincinnati plays both Utah and BYU in this upcoming season. You play Utah at your home, and then you come out to Provo, Utah, to play against BYU. Have you ever been to Utah?
Never been to Utah. I've heard great things, though. I'm excited to go. I've heard it's beautiful.
I think it's the other way around.
I think we go to Utah.
Go to Utah, and BYU
right.
comes to Cincinnati.
That's right.
But either way.
So you never been to Salt Lake?
Never been.
They got these mountains, man. They're really
That's
big.
what they say. Watch out. That's what they say. They say it's beautiful out there, so I'm excited to get out there.
Well, the environment's really fun, too. I mean,
well, you'll be there in November.
November 1st.
Yeah, so it's going to be a little bit chill. Cincinnati's probably got more chill than.
You never know. I mean, if they give you an afternoon game, it's gorgeous. But a lot of these times on our side of the country, it's 7:30, 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah, and then you're getting back to Cincinnati at like 6 in the morning. It's just brutal.
Yeah,
but,
you guys,
Yeah, no, I'm excited for that trip, though. I know a lot of people that are going to make the trip to Utah because they haven't been either, and they want to go see it and come watch me play, obviously, some family, friends, and stuff. So that'll be good. I'm excited to go.
I forgot that I scheduled my trip out to Cincinnati, and I'm excited about it because I love Skyline Chili.
I've never had Skyline
and
chili.
I do a 4-way.
Whoa, really?
Yep, and that's everybody's reaction because they're like, "Oh, really? As a quarterback, Brendan, like you got to try Skyline."
as a quarterback, yeah.
As a quarterback,
yeah, but hold on, isn't it really just like like if a 10-year-old came up and go, I like to put chili on my spaghetti, you'd go, okay, this kid needs help, But like it's turned into an institution, obviously now. So
I'm a freak about it. I love it. To me, it's incredible. But.
Hans likes it 4-way. Is that what you like?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Loaded with cheddar cheese. They do a really
They
fine
put
shredded cheddar cheese.
it's just cheese is pretty much all it is. And I love cheese, so I probably like it. I just haven't. I don't want to go alone, though, because then people aren't going to believe me that I win, so I got to go with somebody.
You don't want to be that guy there.
And usually, like Joe's a Cincinnati. Like, he loves it, but he's not always, like, dying to go because he grew up on it in Cincinnati.
Yeah. Hey, I'll make a deal with you. I'll try Skyline Chili when I come into Cincinnati. You just got to try Swig when you come into
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. What you
What
tell
is
me,
Swig?
PK, what is
a
a
drink?
No, get the. You got to get a Crown Burger. That's a
No,
burger with the pastrami on it.
Not the ketchup. What do they call it for the?
Oh, the fry sauce. Don't
fry
embarrass us.
sauce,
Get a burger
yeah.
with pastrami on it, and we'll pretend like that's our state food.
I don't even know where to send you when you come to Utah. I don't know what's eclectic.
Guess what they're going to do? They're going to be at the hotel.
Non-alcoholic beer.
straight
That's
up.
what we drink.
Yeah. They're going to go hotel straight up to Rice Eccles Stadium, and then back to the hotel. Back to the. That's what they're going to do.
PK's right. Cracking old duels. And just say, I'm living it the square life.
I got clean in Utah, baby. Let's go.
Clean air, clean people, clean living.
there you
That's
go.
what we do out there.
Brennan Sorsby, quarterback for the University of Cincinnati Bearcats, nice enough to join us today at Media Days. Looking forward to both of those games against BYU and Utah. Both teams, I think, missed you last year. I think neither played them. So good to have them back on the schedule again, and we're looking forward to seeing those matchups. Thanks again, Brennan.
Good luck, Brennan.
Thank you all very much.
All right, we'll take another break here. We got to sneak in as many breaks as we can during the time that we have it, because I swear we're going to be getting Coach Kalani Sitake at some point. That's what I keep hearing. Hans could just lean right over. You could just hand your headset to Avery Johnson there when he's
just tug on those locks.
whenever he's pull on his hair and then get him to come over.
Excuse me, miss.
You can't do that. He's right here. How you
got the
doing?
headphones on. He
How
can't
you doing,
hear us.
Coach? How you doing, Coach? He just heard you say that. All right.
Aerosmith song. I can't. That's coming to mind.
Stop it. All right, we'll take a break real quick, and we'll sneak in a couple more. We've got all sorts of stuff from the podiums, and I thought we were going to go to the podium. I didn't know they were walking Brendan Sorsby over here. I haven't been able to stand up for 4 hours, and so the one time I walk away from the table, you guys bring a quarterback over here. My goodness. All right, let's take that break. We'll come back. More to go. 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
He's done.
Live from Frisco, Texas. This is the KSL Sports Zone coverage of the Big 12 Media Day. As we get you ready for the 2025 football season. Presented by Window World. High quality without high prices. That's the Window World way. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back. Big 12 Media Days continues on here. And Hans Olsen, Patrick Kinahan,
Yeah.
myself, Alex Kirry, and
Kenny Dillingham. He's coming back?
If you walked over another Arizona State guy, I'd have walked off set, bro. I mean, I'm shocked over it. You know what's crazy is, like, it just feels like we have had so many teams across the board come across, and we're only halfway through, and we probably only have had, I don't know, maybe 6 of the 8 teams that are here today who've actually stopped by and done some stuff with us. Yeah, I'm trying to think. And right now, our guy Stone is trying to run down the commissioner, Brett Yormark, to see if they maybe
just put him in a headlock. Yormark's a little dude. Stone's a big guy. Get Hands over there.
We
Hey,
should say
buddy.
that. We should
It's
say
in your
that.
best interest to follow me.
Thanks for coming over, Commissioner Yormark. We knew you'd be able to come over because you're a little dude, and we
Want to keep your arms?
Our guy is not a little dude.
Our guy will get you.
You can pick him up.
Yeah.
You know what? I just love.
Bring him over
I
here
do
once.
just-
Carry him over.
I
Like
love
a sack of potatoes.
It's under one arm. He's kicking. Wait,
That'd be
hold on.
awesome.
Hold on.
Ex-player loses his mind at Pac-12 Media.
I
Big
told
12
you
Media.
that Houston was in the national championship game in basketball. Yeah, so we'll get.
that'd be
We'll hopefully.
hilarious.
What did Brett Yormark say? Any? Really? Brett Yormark lied to Stone and told him he'd come over in just a few minutes. No. I think
he's just BSing over there.
I know. Let's get him to BS over here.
I know.
Okay. All right. Well, that's what all these interviews are anyway. PK, come on.
I know, but it looks like he's just chatting as opposed to a formal interview.
This portion of the show brought to you by the good folks at Trajan Wealth, TRAJAN Wealth.com for all your trusted local needs in retirement. Trajan Wealth, .com. Let me see here. The takeaway from today, I mean, we're still a couple of hours or a little bit away, I guess a couple hours out still from being able to wrap this thing up. We just had so many of these players and coaches come through here. We tend to get kind of a vibe here, and every team brings their brand, and every team brings what they can bring to the Big 12 this year, and every team comes in here with high hopes.
Yeah, that's the thing I've noticed.
Do you remember a couple of years ago, Hans? I think we were sitting at the table together in Dallas, in Arlington at Jerry World, and that Neil Brown, may he rest, now that he's not the head coach of West Virginia, they were picked dead last that year, and then they came back and they had a pretty decent season. He was You remember I think they went 9-4 the next year. Teams that are at the very bottom don't finish at the very bottom in this conference. It's really crazy. I'm interested to see how some of these teams tomorrow, like your Oklahoma States, your Houstons, teams that Utah are going to say, no.
That was more of a fluke, though.
Yeah.
Oklahoma State, they sucked. They just sucked.
Yeah, but if you
they
look
won it in 23, right?
Well, that's what I was going to say. Is that you look at what their history is. I give credit to that's a blip on the Kyle Whittingham radar.
Oklahoma State had no excuse for sucking. Utah did.
I don't know. I don't think they've ever had a quarterback, to be honest, in the last few years. Oklahoma State, but like I said, the consistency of their program, that seemed a little more like an outlier last year than it did the year before. Than it did the other years.
But they don't have an excuse. I mean, the Utes still won 8 games essentially with Bryson Barnes. They had Bryson Barnes last year. They're not going 2-7. There's no way.
Yeah, if Cam Rising stays healthy,
no.
it's a complete.
If they have Bryson Barnes, if he doesn't go to Logan, if he stays from season 23 to season 24.
You think Bryson Barnes would have brought them a winning season last year?
He did the year before.
Yeah, I think he probably would.
It's a better situation.
Like you said, all they needed was 7 more points and pretty much won the game.
Yeah.
It would have been a completely different season. And you're right, Oklahoma State had Alan Bowman back. They had Ollie Gordon.
He was a sixth-year senior.
They had Ollie Gordon.
Ollie Gordon was Heisman Trophy candidate.
Yeah.
So they quit.
Way off the planet, yeah.
They quit on those
Oklahoma
guys.
State, that whole thing was weird.
I watched the Colorado game. It's like 5 minutes into it, I turned it off. It was a joke.
Yeah,
do you feel like that's a Mike Gundy sort of phoned it in last year?
I'm kind of wondering if it's run its course.
But, where Utah finished, as to where they were picked to where they finished, I just look at Utah, I'm like, man, I think it's going to be a redemptive story. I think Utah is the most under-talked about program right now. But look, Coach Beck is a wild card. Devin Dampierre is a wild card.
Yeah, but we're not asking for a lot out of these guys.
That's
we're
what I said.
asking for a little.
Defensive staples.
Yeah.
That's why I said you got to put BYU and Utah. Both have to be in your top 6 of the Big 12.
And my initial reaction, which is always my initial reaction on Sports Talk, is to disagree. Everybody knows that. But now that I've had time to think about it, I can agree with that. I can see where you're going.
Yeah, because they're just staple defenses.
What did you say in the we said that in the USA Today Power Poll they did for the Big 12, BYU was 11th, and then Utah was 5th. Mm-hmm. And that's probably about right. I think a lot of us in our office poll that we did had BYU and Utah. I put BYU, I think, down at 7 or 8 maybe, and then I think I put Utah at 4 or 5 maybe.
Utah 7.
So it is hard. It is really hard to try to handicap what is going to happen.
I'll give you for an example, or for instance.
Uh-huh.
So last year, remember we were sitting around this table last year at Big 12 Media Days, and we were talking about Gus Malzahn. And we were talking about Gus getting KJ Jefferson and having RJ Harvey back. And what kind of offensive combo that could be. Man, that could be reminiscent of the Auburn days of Gus Malzahn with
Cam
Newton and this dynamic offense.
Pat Sullivan.
And they had Kobe Hudson back, that wide receiver, and their linebacker Deshaun Pace. UCF, I felt like was going to be the dark horse and going to be the power punch and going to be the tough out.
RJ Harvey was such a freaking good back, and it was wasted on that team.
And Gus Malzahn's gone?
Gus Malzahn might as well have been. He may as well have left during game number 8 because did he commit to go to Florida State before the season was even over?
I can't remember.
It was something dumb like that, like maybe right before the game. He announced it right after the game. It was like they walk up to the podium and he's like, "By the way, I'll be the offensive coordinator now at Florida State." And everyone's like, "Where did this happen, bro? Thanks for bringing this up right now." I think you can't go a long time with.
Unpredictable.
Yeah,
it's so. But what's the?
I mean, they lose. You look at UCF. I mean, they lose by 5 or 6 at Cincinnati, 3 at Iowa State, 4 to ASU. So
they got the doors blown off them by BYU. They didn't even show up to that game.
They did.
To that,
it was by 13.
To that point, this is how I look at the Big 12. You're talking about the overall feel.
Yeah.
This is how I look at it. It's like that scene in Anchorman when all the different stations come down to fight. And they're swinging their chains, and they're puffing their chests, and you've got your different weapons and different tools. I look at the Big 12 this year, and I'm like, there's a lot of good weapons.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good tools, and there's going to be a lot of fights, boys. I'm talking a lot of fights, unpredictable losses, unpredictable wins. You bring up the Cincinnati win over Arizona State. Like, there's going to be a lot of that. Now, I'm a little bit worried because – I do feel like the Big 12 is going to feast on each other.
There's a good chance that you end up with
a bunch of 5-4 conference
you
teams.
end up with combined 5 losses in the title game.
Yeah. And
2 and 3.
I really could see it.
Yeah.
I could see it being
so then they shut themselves out of getting a second team in.
Because, okay, just bear with me on
And then you got Indiana, somebody in the Big Ten, just because they're in the Big Ten, and they literally don't play a ranked team and beat them. But they get in.
But listen to this. Avery Johnson back. Jalen Daniels. We haven't even talked about Kansas and Jalen Daniels.
But you know why? Because I've been so sick of every year talking about how Jalen Daniels is talented and is going to be that guy at Kansas.
Yeah, right, and then they go into Provo and win.
That was a brutal loss for me.
That killed their season. But at the same time, like, Jalen Daniels was one of those guys that was supposed to take over the world, right? Like,
he had a great season 2 seasons ago.
Yeah. And then he was injured for the year before. And then last year, because they had such a bad start, people forgot about him until they started ruining some of the top teams in the conference.
Yeah, and then they beat 3 of the 4 teams that finished tied for
BYU,
first.
Iowa State, and Colorado. All in a 3-week span, by the way. They did it in 3 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
I just look at this list of quarterbacks with Avery Johnson, Jalen Daniels.
He's dangerous.
You go down Josh Hoover, Barron Morton, Sawyer Robinson, Rocco Beck, Noah Fafita, Brendan Sorsby, Sam Levitt. This is going to be a dog-eat-dog, feast on each other, complete cannibalism. And I'm worried that that's going to lead to one dedicated team to the college football
Right,
playoff.
and if you don't have a top 10 team, your conference is looked down upon.
Exactly.
It may not be fair, but that's just the way it is.
And I don't know if there's one team that stands out as, they're going to run the conference.
Oh, there's no overwhelming favorite.
No.
Absolutely not.
There
no.
won't.
I totally agree.
An 8-win team, I think, is going to be tough. I'm talking about conference wins. An 8-win conference.
8-1? Yeah, I think you're right.
I think it's going to be really tough.
Yeah, I think what this conference needs is some big non-conference wins to carry it.
Well, they had 3 teams. Was it 3 or 4 teams that were 7? 4 teams that were 7-2 last year.
Yeah.
They had the stupid tie-break scenario that they had to figure out. By the way, the preseason, the preseason poll from last year, if you recall, Noah Fafita was the first team Big 12, and he was the he was the Big 12.
It's wild.
Isn't that funny? Like,
and I thought Fafita was gone, and Arizona retained him.
He was well, not just that. Like, he walked in there, and everybody looked and went, "Oh, this is going to be the guy." And he's got. It was Ted McMillan's last year. I mean, his final year last year, right? And they started the season off. Did he have a 400-yard game the very first game of the season? Is that what that was?
New Mexico.
So you start the season off and you go, well, of course. But for these guys to be able to fall off the way they
fell apart. I think sometimes teams
Arizona
get on a losing streak and there's no hope of a bowl, and it's just like lick the envelope and put it in the box because you're mailing it in.
It's like doing more damage than good at that point to be able to get your guys out of the field. And but it's crazy to see because last year Fafita Sanders, Rocco Beck was on that. It was in that conversation. They had a bunch of guys on this as the, going to change the world conversation. And in our minds, we threw away the Shedeur Sanders part of that. We were like, yeah, right, that guy's overrated. Ends up being first team All Big 12.
I didn't think he was overrated. I thought he was very good.
I knew.
I'm stunned he lasted till the 5th round.
It was crazy. I think it was that BYU game. That's one of the BYU plays.
I don't know what it was.
We sent him to the 5th round.
That surprised me. I thought he was a good talent.
All right, let's take another break here. We'll come back, and we're anticipating a couple other coaches and some players maybe when they walk over.
If we want,
I think
Brock Osweiler, former quarterback for the Sun Devils, we can get him on.
Oh, boy. Hey, Hans, do you sign off on that? If we get
I'm going to pretend like I didn't hear it.
All 6'7" of Brock Osweiler coming over to an interview to get some more Sun Devil pride going on here? I don't think so. All right, we'll take that break. We're hopefully going to be waiting on Brett Yormark, the commissioner of the Big 12. Not going to hold my breath because it's been always hard to get him, but hit and miss. We'll see if they'll walk him over here, but we're also anticipating in the next 30 minutes or so Coach Kalani Sitake going to join us on the program here at the Big 12 Media Days. We'll come back. More to go. 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
The 2025 football season is nearly here, and it's time to hear from all of the coaches and players.
Yeah, boy!
This is Big 12 Media Day, live from Frisco, Texas. Media Day coverage on The Zone is brought to you by Window World. Call Window World for free quotes on windows, doors, and siding today. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Big 12 Media Days. What? What is that? What does that look on your face?
Oh,
if you
PK said something, and I just went through and looked at it, and
is it starting to piss you off? Something that PK said? It's a shock.
I'm just deflated a little bit because, we were just talking about the Big 12. They got to win some non-Big 12 games.
Yeah.
There's not a lot here. This is. Let me give you some of the games.
Are these out of conference, like the big out of conference games?
Yeah.
Okay. What do we have?
I think your biggest one is Baylor versus Auburn. That's your biggest. That's
Baylor, SMU.
Okay.
You're going brand name with Auburn, but I think SMU might be a better team.
Yeah, I'm going brand name. So you will see SMU twice in non-conference. TCU sees them, and
yes, they do.
And Baylor sees them.
Yeah.
So SMU is TCU's best non-conference.
This is not necessarily a great team, but we'll have a ton of eyeballs.
SMU is a good ACC team. I don't.
But you're going to get hit if you lose it. They may not be great wins, but sometimes they're worse losses than better wins. ASU plays Mississippi State. They suck. You can't lose to them.
Right. But you better beat them.
Yeah.
So this is
– and TCU with Bill Belichick in North Carolina, just like they were a couple years back with Sanders in Colorado. So there'll be a lot of eyes on that.
But to your point, there's like Texas.
Well, let me just give you the best non-conference.
Mm-hmm.
Colorado's playing Georgia Tech. That's their best non-conference. Houston is playing Oregon. That's going to be really a tough game for Houston.
But that's not like a national hey, they built this game up to be a big one for national TV. That's a beat up game for Oregon to get going. Not that Houston's a total pushover, but
Cincinnati's playing Nebraska.
Yeah.
Iowa State's playing Iowa. Kansas is playing Missouri. Kansas State's best non-conference is another Big 12 team, but because they've got they're playing 10 Big 12 teams.
Oh, are they counting?
I think it was a pre.
Which one are they counting as the non-conference?
I don't
know. Because they're playing in Dublin against
the
Iowa
first
State,
game in the 23rd of next month is a conference game.
Even though it's
I believe that's what they've been saying.
Yeah, maybe it's one of the other ones.
It is a conference game.
Maybe because it would be between those two teams because they've established.
They need that game to be really good because there'll be eyes on that.
So the Kansas State is one team that I was like, man, hopefully they see an SEC team or they see somebody out of conference that they can throw a haymaker on. It's Army. That's their best non-conference. It's Army. Oklahoma State, Oregon, TCU, SMU, Texas Tech plays Oregon as well. Oh no, so Oregon State.
Oregon State, yeah, it's right before they play
yeah.
Utah.
So your better teams in the Big 12 are playing low end.
Yeah, but it's like when we see in the NCAA tournament, the conference bowls. The conference went 4-1 or 5-0 in bowls. It doesn't even necessarily matter who you beat.
But here's what you have to do: is you have to make the standard now what basketball is doing, which is, hey, let's make it a priority and a premium to make good games, and not ding the team so hardcore. Like, here's what the Big Ten and the SEC. They play hard games to start the season. Texas has been on the road like the last 3 years in a row, and you know what they've done too? They've won those games on the road. Texas is going to Ohio State again this year on the road at the Shoe, very first week of the season.
Tough game.
LSU goes to Clemson. Texas A&M goes to Notre Dame. Alabama goes to Florida State. Not that that's a totally tough game, but you see what I'm saying? Like Michigan goes to Oklahoma early in the season because those conferences look and they go, no one's going to ding us for those losses. If Michigan goes to Oklahoma and loses a close game in Norman, it gets looked at differently now that the college football playoff is not – you don't have to be undefeated anymore. Not just that. Your conference record matters a ton. And early losses in the beginning of the year, I mean, that's what killed BYU, right? You lose at the end of the season, you're toast. You lose at the beginning of the year, and then you make a run. They need to make that a priority, is to be able to say, let's have games like a Texas at Ohio State. Why don't you have a BYU taking on –
They don't have a marquee like that.
I would put UCLA and Utah
with
with the Tennessee transfer coming in at quarterback.
I will tell you,
or whatever it is, yeah.
Utah has to take care of UCLA. BYU has to take care of Stanford.
Agreed.
You got those two. You have to do that. Like BYU and Utah got to carry that. And then you look at, like, Kansas has to beat Missouri. Kansas has to beat Missouri.
Missouri's decent.
But there's no – what I'm saying
SEC.
is there's not a marquee matchup. Like returning Big 12 champ Arizona State against a returning ACC champ. Who won
Clemson.
Clemson. Like where it's a marquee matchup where it kicks the Big 12 off for the season. Like, you got to watch them. Because what I'm afraid of – and there's I think there's 3 teams that are playing a 10-game Big 12 schedule. That either they left like before Colorado was on, they just left them as a non-conference.
Well, Utah and Baylor last year was a non-conference.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that there's 3 of those this year.
And I think they're done, right?
Where you're just feasting on Big 12 teams because nobody's going to look at it and be like, that was a non-conference game.
Oh, no, and no one outside of the conference is going to go, no, wait, hold on, that's a different one.
This is not lined up well.
It's bad news.
This is bad news for the Big 12.
We got Yormark coming on here. We'll not right now, but we'll get him.
Well,
here
but see, this year is the
last.
This year's the last of the 12-team playoff, right? And then next year's the either 14 or 16. Isn't that what the
5 and 11?
That's not this coming season. That's
it's next.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I get confused what year.
This year's a 12.
So they're going back to the regular 12. So the real problem with this type of year is you're exactly right. This is the year you only get one team again.
Oh, yeah.
If it's even close to these teams beating up on each other even a little bit, they're going to get looked at and laughed at by the committee, who's going to go, easy choice for us. We don't have to get caught up in whether or not BYU should or shouldn't be in because they lost 3 games in conference play.
I think the fact that Indiana and SMU got in.
Fizzled out.
And got kind of blown out. I think they're going to look at that a little bit more. I think if you take what they had last year, do it next year, I think they get 2 in. Because there was
next year?
If you take last season, 24 season, reproduce it in its 25 form, I think they get 2 teams in.
There's always
you think Iowa State gets in?
I think BYU.
Oh, you think Arizona State and BYU gets in?
Yeah, because they have in their minds, hey, we put in SMU, they got beat. We put in Indiana, they got beat. These teams that we gave the bye to, they got beat. They got rolled. They were non-competitive games.
You said BSU?
Boise also, but there's going to be a team from the group of 5 that gets in, so it doesn't. They'll get in,
but they got whooped.
But they won't get the bye. They'll still get in, so they still take the berth. I think that if they can recreate the conference of what they did last year, because the committee will think, man, we put in these teams and then they no-show. We gave them the benefit. You look at Indiana. They literally beat no ranked team. They had a great season for Indiana. I get it. They're a basketball school. It's a basketball state. But you got to beat somebody. You just because the Big Ten now is huge, and it's got so many crappy teams. They're very good at the top, but you get down to the middle to the bottom, and there's nothing.
That goes to my point, though, PK. It's like, okay, we get to the end of the Big 12 season, and all of these good Big 12 teams with great quarterback play sit there and eat and feast. There's not going to be an SEC win from the conference that you look at and say, oh, they knocked off Alabama, or they knocked off Oklahoma, or they knocked off Texas.
That's why I'm saying if there's 2 7-2 teams, they got a shot.
I don't think so. I think they take the conference champion 7-2,
because they're not going to
take
Big
12 stinks.
If the Big 12 title game is a great game. If it's a blowout, there's no way they could take Iowa State last year.
No.
They got run off the field.
And Iowa State was falling. They were going this direction, too. They lost 2 out of their last 3 games. They barely beat Utah in Salt Lake. You remember that the week before that?
Yeah.
And it was a team that they're going to that game and everyone's going, that's your Big 12 championship game. That's a shame. Because Iowa State was going the wrong direction at that point,
right?
And and you knew there wasn't going to be a second team for the Big 12 in. You just knew it.
They can't have a blowout in the conference final.
However, I think if you can get I don't know if you can be an 8-3.
I don't think they're going to put in a team like Indiana.
I mean, a 6-3 team in the conference,
or put in a team like SMU, which was questionable. And they lost to BYU at home. But I don't care that it was in September.
SMU, no. But I do think that a Big Ten team, even if it is Indiana, would probably get the nod just because it's a Big Ten.
I don't know.
Let me tell you, the other thing that I don't like is I just went through 14 of the 16 schedules in the Big 12. You've got this thing of schedule an A opponent, a B opponent, and a C opponent.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
You want your A opponent to be top-notch. There's a lot of A and CCs. There's a lot of
and you got to get rid of that.
There's a lot of A and CCs. Like, for instance, West Virginia, they play Pitt. That's their top game.
Yeah.
West Virginia plays Pitt. Then they play Miami of Ohio.
Yeah.
And RMU.
You will get that out of Rich Rod because he's noted for a cupcake.
But not just that.
Non-conference
not just
schedule.
that. Hans, I think that's a holdover from the 14 playoff era. A lot of teams are still hanging on to that idea of we better go undefeated, or at most you can lose only 1 game. Otherwise, no one's talking about it. I think that era is gone now.
The Big Ten will get the 4th team in if it's a brand name. If it's Michigan, they go. But if it's Indiana, no.
What am I missing here with Kansas State? Because Kansas State's the one I'm looking at. Like, Kansas State could go make national noise against the SEC or ACC. Their 2 non-conference are UND and Army.
UND, that's University of Notre Dame?
Not that North Dakota, and they might lose that game.
Yeah,
North Dakota's going to show up. North Dakota's going to show up hardcore.
They open up against Iowa State, as you guys mentioned,
in Ireland, yeah.
And then they go Arizona, UCF, Baylor, TCU, Kansas, Texas Tech, Oklahoma State, Utah, and Colorado.
Arizona's the non-con.
Oh, that's right.
Because they had it last
year.
From
a prior.
So, that sucks.
That's stupid. And especially 2 years in a row.
And that's
I think that was a
3
Friday
teams.
night game last year.
That's 3 different Big 12 teams that are playing a 10-game Big 12 schedule.
Do you think that? And this is something we could ask. This is something we could ask Brett Yormark too when he comes over. Can the conference ask teams like, hey, you're non-conference, like let's put a fire under our butts a little bit and get things going here when it comes to scheduling better games and you're out of conference because it's not going to go full basketball where you basically get better. If you play a quad 1 team and lose, it actually you go up the rankings. You know what I mean? And I don't think it's ever going to get to that level because you're playing so few games in football compared to basketball. But don't punish teams for scheduling good teams. Don't punish teams for scheduling good games at the beginning of the year.
Don't reward teams for scheduling crap.
And, that's a lot. Again, I think it's a holdover from the old school way of thinking. Let's take a quick break here and we'll come back. I think we're going to get Brett Yormark, the commissioner of the Big 12, here in just a few moments here when he's done with BYU TV, and we'll walk him over. Hans, you ask him that question, okay? Because you're next to him and you're scarier looking. I think you could get
it. I would like to know because I am looking at schedules that aren't going to make a dent.
Yeah. I think the age of the cupcake should be over. And the SEC does it, and they look at it like a strength when they play in November and they play some
Oh, yeah, they play Akron before they play their rival.
No, Akron would be fine. It's Furman and Mercer. These are FCS, lower tier FCS.
I don't think Akron would be fine, but I get your point.
The Zips? I think on the rise, my guy. All right, we'll take
Not
a break.
since Jerry Fowles.
We'll come back. We got more. Hopefully getting Brett Yormark, the commissioner of the Big 12, here live on the program on Big 12 Media Days, 97.5 EKSL Sports Zone.
Your home for the best coverage of the Utes and Cougars as they get ready for the 2025 season.
Ready?
You're locked on to Big 12 Media Day coverage, live from Frisco, Texas. Presented by Window World. Want a window quote without all the baloney? High quality, amazing prices. Check out Window World today. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, everybody, welcome back. It is your Big 12 Media Days right here from Frisco, Texas at the Star. Big 12 Media Days. We have a phenomenal time being able to do these, and they're long broadcast days, and they're longer days for the commissioner of the Big 12. He's Brett Yormark. He joins us on the program right now. Commissioner, thanks for being with us on the program. Long days for you, but I would imagine being able to rub shoulders with all of your athletic directors and coaches and everybody. This is a pretty fun time for you guys as a conference to be able to celebrate. We heard you at the podium talking about all the wins that the conference has had. Talk to us a little bit about what is going on year 3 for you and the things you want to get done, or the things you want to are really pushing to help, trying to get your programs to get on board with your member institutions.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me, and it's a very exciting time for the Big 12. I am entering into kind of year 4.
Yeah, I guess it was halfway through.
Year 4, and August 1 is when I started. It'll be 3 years. So I love where we've been. I love how we've positioned ourselves for the future. Love what expansion has done for us. It's created a lot of value when you think about our 16 schools and 10 states and 4 time zones. I would say that when I first got here, it was about reimagining the Big 12. You know, the Big 12 had it had great bones, but it was a little antiquated, candidly, a little dated. And its national profile really didn't exist. Fast forward to today, I think that's changed dramatically. Love the makeup, 16 strong. Love the fact that we're in 4 time zones. We're a national conference. We have 90 million people in our footprint. So now we have to leverage that as a conference. And we have to leverage it in every way possible. How do we grow our value when you think about media, our media partners? How do we grow our commercial value? I think PayPal, the recent deal that we announced, truly shows how we can come together with our institutions and leverage the scale of 16 and do something very meaningful. So my goal and my priorities are, there's a couple of them. I want to continue to grow the commercial side of our business. And by that I mean, how do we grow the distribution the revenue distribution we provide, our schools?
Right.
2, how do we continue to grow the profile of our brand? I think that matters. Brand matters, for sure. How do we continue to invest in football? Because that's at the core of what we do. When you think
Commissioner,
about the business
can I fix this really quick?
Go ahead, guys.
Is the mic
take this off? This just comes around. It actually goes on the left ear there. There we go.
We're radio people, so we're
there we go.
Okay, guys.
There
Better?
we go.
Yes.
100%.
Okay.
There you go.
So the priorities for me: drive the commercial business, which ultimately means how do we provide more resources for our schools? How do we continue to grow the brand and the profile of the Big 12, because brand and profile matters, especially in the business we're in. How do we double down and continue to invest in football? Because it's the driver, for the conference and obviously for our schools when you think about your athletic programs. And how do we continue to cement our position within the Power Four? I think those 4 things are truly critical. There's a couple of other things I'm focused on, but those are the 4 priorities for me, and I feel really good about all of them.
So we were just talking about the scheduling aspect and the importance of scheduling and having those marquee SEC or Big Ten matchups. How consistent are you with your institutions that you want to beef up and continue to promote big-time matchups against Big Ten, SEC, ACC, and what is the partnership like with those other 3 Power 4 conferences?
We advocate that the 3 out-of-conference games, at least 1 is against Power 4. So we as a conference effectively play each school 10 Power 4 games.
Right.
9 conference, 1 out-of-conference. So we advocate for strong out-of-conference scheduling. And I think when you look at the CFP and the strength of schedule, that really matters. So we advocate for that. The other part of your question?
Just how important it is for, whether it's the 5-11 or this upcoming 12 CFP team playoff, how important is that partnership? How important are those big-time matchups?
I think they're critically important. It's great for the fans to have big, meaningful games that are non-conference, but I also think it helps with the strength of schedule. As we think about the selection process for the CFP and what metrics are going to be used moving forward and how those metrics are weighted, I think strength of schedule is going to really matter. Probably matter more than it's ever been. So we're going to continue to advocate to our schools to play a very strong out-of-conference schedule. Obviously, playing 9 conference games, it's challenging for our schools, given the parity that exists in our conference. But we're advocating for that. We think it best positions us for the CFP and for the future.
How about strong conference schedules? And what I mean by that is you have an opportunity to have some secondary rivals that can give you sizzle. We've seen in our part of the country, in Utah, I grew up in New Jersey, but also I attended school at Arizona State. So you've got the U of A Territorial Cup that you put on the Thanksgiving weekend. But we've seen, if you go way back to BYU, Arizona, BYU, ASU, and because of the strong presence of the LDS Church in the Phoenix area, that has a lot. In these games, they just create more buzz. And for instance, last year was an incredible BYU game in Tempe, but yet they're not playing this year. How about developing those more?
We're working on those, and we know those are critically important for our schools and just for the conference. We want big games that have national implications and create awareness nationally for us. And I think we did a nice job last year. But when we think about the future metrics, or matrix rather, of our scheduling, we're going to consider some of those secondary rivalries more so than we have in the past. We have a committee of ADs that look at those rivalries. So nothing is done without us co-authoring it between the conference and our ADs. But we'll go back into the lab. And we'll start figuring out, what are those secondary rivalries that really matter, that have national appeal. We also work with ESPN and Fox on scheduling to make sure that, they have the games they need. So it's a collaborative effort and one that we don't do in a silo. But you make a great point, and where there's other rivalries that exist that have national appeal, we'll pursue them.
What was the when you look at what you guys are doing to move forward and make that recognizable, and kind of being a part of that conversation of the Power Four, solidifying that position more? A lot's made of the big bad other big conferences, Big Ten and SEC are controlling all these narratives and things like that. From your perspective, as somebody who's working closely with those other commissioners and trying to figure those things out and those relationships, is it that way, or do you put your elbows out for the conference, or is it one of those things where it's like, no, that's probably more made up than it is? There's more collaborative effort with these bigger conferences.
It's very collaborative, and it's relatively collegial, and we can agree to disagree on certain things. And you know what? I agree to disagree with my wife on certain things. Okay, so that's not new to me.
Who wins that?
It's a collaborative.
I win it. She knows what she signed up for.
It's more collegial.
No. She knows what she signed up for. Trust me. But with the commissioners, it really is collegial. And there are times, again, where we agree to disagree, and we probably will agree to disagree on the future format if it changes, okay? And you guys know my position on that. But, we have a lot going on right now. You think about settlement. You think about future governance. You think about CFP. So we're spending more and more time together. We have, regularly scheduled calls, and there's a lot of engagement. And I like all the commissioners. I think they're great guys, and we all have different skill sets, which is nice. We're all very different in our approaches. But I do think that the common denominator amongst all of us is that we want what's best for college football, for college athletics, and that's what we're working towards.
It's such an incredible arms race, and it's unbelievable to watch it play out as college football just explodes into this huge bank account of money. And one thing I was really impressed when you came in and took over and built the new Big 12 out was all of your angles and ideas to bring in more revenue. that can be distributed. And I remember some of them were attaching brands to the conference, so it'd be like, whatever, Verizon conference, or attached something.
Yeah, we talked about naming rights.
Naming rights,
Yeah.
and we talked about putting patches on jerseys. And
unfortunately,
being able to
right now,
patches
but maybe in the future that'll change. That's kind of governed by the NCAA.
Yeah.
And I think in a new governance model where things are decentralized, we'll have an opportunity to do something there. And we have all the data that shows the value proposition. The naming rights was an interesting opportunity for us
because it would be very lucrative.
It would, and effectively, we're still exploring it. It's still a possibility, but candidly, over the last couple of years, we've built so much equity in the Big 12.
Yeah.
And when I first got here, that wasn't necessarily the case.
But
now the Big 12 shows up in a lot of different places, and it's very recognizable, and we've enhanced our profile. The question is, do we want to give that away?
Do you want to, or do you want to dilute it a little bit?
Yeah. Do we want to dilute it, or are there other ways to monetize the business, like a PayPal?
PayPal coming on. And
PayPal, that deal is nearly $100 million over 5 years, all flowing to our schools. And that's a great example of bringing a partner and not having to give up the equity in the brand, but finding an entry point that made sense for all of us. So I'm focused more on that right now than giving up the equity in Big 12, because I truly think it resonates and it stands for something. And if I were to give it away, the price has gone up.
Oh, yeah, significally. I think this 4-corner ad was really big for the conference.
Listen, we're 16 strong. I said today, all 16 schools are creating value for us right now. No question about it. But when you think about the Four Corners, this was their first year, and they accomplished a lot for us. They really did, and I think it's been a great fit, and excited about what all 16 schools can do in the future.
How much concern is there for potential realignment that could change a good thing going right now?
I'm not concerned about realignment, because my job as the commissioner is to create stickiness and give reason for our schools to love it here. Mm-hmm. And I think right now they do. I also believe that in January of 30, when we go back into the market for a new TV deal, we have a chance to do something pretty special, because, we've not been a free agent for 20 years. Because don't forget, I went early when I got here.
You did.
But I had to go with the incumbents. Okay, I wasn't a free agent. We all know when you are a free agent, you can command something very different. And I'm looking forward to that free agency moment. And everything I do now is all about how do I create value for January of 30? How do I continue to build the brand of the Big 12, the brands of our institutions? And I think we have a real chance to do that.
Do those institutions understand what you're just saying?
Yes, 100%. They know we're playing the short game, but we're also playing the long game.
What's your relationship like with Mark Harlan and now the new BYU athletic director, Brian Santiago? How's it been getting to know him a little bit?
Great. Brian was Tom's obviously number 2, so he was very visible in the room, and I got to know him a lot when I went to campus. And in fact, when I went out there on my listening and learning tour, he shepherded me around the campus, and that was my first time in Provo. Mark and I have a great relationship. He and I text a lot. I lean on him for guidance. Last week I did a Zoom with Taylor Randall. Mm-hmm. He's a great guy, understands the world of business. Shane Reese, over at BYU, he's fantastic.
Those are both sports fans right there.
Big sports fans.
Yeah.
And they bring lots of different skill sets. Taylor has a business background that I lean on. And then Shane is all about data and analytics.
Analytics, yeah.
And, in this world of data and analytics, he's a great resource for me and others. So I take full advantage of our board and the skill sets they bring to the table.
So, Brad, I was talking to PK and Alex earlier, and I said, one thing I could see the commissioner being really stubborn with is that all 16 teams of the conference spend the allotted $20.5 million on their athletic departments, and even more specifically allocating, just for the sake of a number, 60% to football and 20% to basketball, just to make sure that every one of these institutions is putting every bit of financial impact they can to keep this conference strong. Do you persuade or do you suggest each of these schools in their revenue payouts to their athletes or the percentages that
I don't. The only thing I've said to our board and RDs when settlement was approved and everyone had to start thinking about the cap and 20.5 and how do they get there, and it's an added expense. I said to them that, and I've been saying this even in advance, that athletics sits at the front porch of every university. It drives everything. It drives community, philanthropy, fan engagement,
brand,
enrollment, brand, profile. Drives everything. So they need to think about it in the context of how they're going to invest in their athletics, understanding that it is the main artery in the ecosystem on campus. And I firmly believe that. And I think all of them agree, and I think all of them are investing at a level that they need to. And I think, we're in a great place because of it.
You have an opportunity to expand in a lot of different ways because of the size of the conference. We've seen over a number of years Las Vegas has been a hot destination for the pros and colleges. What are your thoughts about using that more?
Listen, I think there's opportunities for us to take the Big 12 banner and flag into new markets that we've recently entered into. Last year we did Media Day in Vegas.
Right.
We're moving our baseball championship from Globe Life to Arizona, so we'll be there for the first time. We moved our gymnastics to Utah, as you know, last year for our championship. So where there's opportunities and it makes sense, we're going to disperse our championships into markets that we're now in for the first time. And for that matter, even in markets that we're not in, as we want to continue to build our national profile. But I think there's real opportunities. I like Vegas.
We do too.
Yeah,
a flight for us. It was fun.
Well, listen, Vegas is great, and it's become the sports capital of the world. It's a global market. We, as you know, we believe in music and the language of music and how to infuse that into our conference. And obviously, not only is it a great global sports market now, but it's also, it's the entertainment capital of the world. So there's lots of rationale for being in Vegas, more so than we've been. And time will tell if we can get there again. But we have our eyes on Vegas and doing events there for sure.
Brett Yormark, he's the commissioner of the Big 12. Nice enough to carve off some time here for us on a very busy day for you and for your team. But congrats on all that you guys have built. And you guys don't ever stop. So
now, listen, we're
excited
believe
about
in
seeing the rest of it,
and just building the heat. Just put more heat on the fire. That's what we believe in. It's our philosophy. Now, let me ask you a question, if I may. Who's the Pop-Tarts fan?
The Pop-Tarts Bowl we got him over here.
Really, yeah. I got to tell you something. When I was a kid growing up, I used to toast those Pop-Tarts. They were really good.
You want a fat guy move? You toast it. Let me give you a fat guy move.
All right, let me
Brett,
know.
come on. You toast it, and then on the non-frosted side, you hit it with just a little smear of butter. It melts in there, and I'm telling you.
Now listen to me. I
got to be. We didn't need more calories on it, but there's a flavor
This is the
situation.
problem I have. As a guy that weighs himself every day, okay,
that's a problem.
I can't do that.
You don't want to in good conscience.
I can't do that.
No,
I get nervous if I'm eating a oatmeal cookie.
No, that's like a special occasion, like a wedding, like a family.
Now let me ask you something. Since there's 2 of those in each packet,
no, you can't eat both.
Do you do both with the butter on the backside?
No, and the butter on the backside.
Yeah, that's where it's going.
Which
on
is
the
the name of the butter on the backside is the name of my autobiography, by the way. Yeah, you can't do that. Now that I've got kids, I've got to think about other things.
Well, listen, I can tell you this.
Can't do it now.
When I moved to Dallas, I didn't eat a lot of meat. Okay, and my cholesterol went high. I'm telling you, it went high. That's why you got to stay away from butter.
By
so
not
my
eating a lot of meat?
Well, I ate more than I did. I'm a chicken guy, right? So I was eating a lot of chicken, and then I come here, and I started eating meat twice a week, which was very different for me.
Yeah.
And my cholesterol went way high. Now I've normalized it, but I only probably eat meat once every 10 days.
We're
now.
Western guys. Ooh. We don't talk about it until at that yearly doctor.
Wait, do you
update.
Eat meat more than that?
Oh yeah. 4 times daily.
That's
just
just what he
daily
kills
or weekly?
himself.
No.
Daily.
We've got
I'm a meat eater.
Listen, Commissioner, we have like multiple meat sponsors of our station too. Like,
I get it.
It's like this is the West, man. Like
I get it.
The cattle companies.
But I got to tell you something. The meat in this market.
Is
okay. There's a place called Albernay, and that's my go-to.
Hey, write it down.
Albernay, and they are fantastic. The food is incredible. I have my little table up front when I go there, and they got a bone-in ribeye. Okay, that they char real nice for me, no butter. Okay. I got to tell you something. And then they slice it up next to the bone.
A couple big guys here, man.
It's terrific. It's terrific.
You're rolling in the mud with them
When you
now.
talk about the bone-in ribeye, are we talking like a tomahawk type situation
Yeah,
too? Like,
yeah.
I got to show you. I got to show you what I'm headed to eat right now.
No, okay, stop. Now this is a real problem.
Oh my!
Is this the burger with the peanut butter and jelly on it?
It's a double cheese. Those are donut buns.
That's here, by the way, with donut buns. Donut buns.
Where is this place?
Hutchins.
It's called hell.
And let me ask you, is that local?
Yes.
So let me understand.
Well, because we come into the market and we look it up when we got
it's a donut bun, double patty,
double cheese,
with cheese and jelly.
You're not getting
peanut butter
You're not
too.
getting that on the boardwalk.
It's peanut butter jelly.
No, I mean, how good is this?
I don't know. We're going to try it.
Oh, you're going to try it?
Well, we got to do it. We got to do this again tomorrow. I don't know if we can try it.
We're going to have a
tonight.
reclining chair for him tomorrow.
We could be dead tomorrow.
Let me do me a favor. Let me know how it is. So let me ask you something. When you come into town, do you search for a good place?
Oh yeah,
have to.
Yeah, anytime I come to Dallas, yeah.
And when
Because
we go out of town,
I got to
best
tell you
food in
something.
the
The
world
food
here.
scene in Dallas is incredible.
phenomenal.
And by the way, my wife, she was a restaurateur in New York, 32 years, an Italian restaurant in Midtown, and then after a year and a half, she moved here, and her family still runs it. And I was afraid that the food scene wasn't going to be good in Dallas because I didn't know Dallas well. But the food scene here and all the New York restaurateurs are moving here. So we got Carbone, Mario Carbone.
Yep.
I don't know if you know it.
Yeah.
And then we, the major food group.
It's because of how multicultural it is.
No,
here,
it's so
right?
multicultural.
Just
They got Avra, a Greek restaurant,
Yeah.
which is a staple in New York City. It's moving here. It's going to open up in 2 months. Bill Bouquet from New York City in the Hamptons just opened up.
There's
Fantastic.
good Indian food here. I'm telling you, they've got a lot.
San Ambrose, which is like a fantastic restaurant in New York City. They have them really all around the world. They're opening up. Just declared that they're coming into a new building in Dallas. So the food scene is here good. Now, I haven't visited some of yours yet. But tell me how that goes tonight.
Hot. Well, we'll see. If I'm
here, run you down
if I'm here doing interviews tomorrow, it means it went okay.
If he's sweaty tomorrow, then we know it's like really a good.
But do me a favor, take a picture of it tonight.
I am going with a picture.
Okay, and I'll come see you guys tomorrow.
We're gonna hunt you down tomorrow.
I'm going to be in the city next week. What's your place?
It's called. No, I'm serious.
Okay.
You'll go there. And before I married my wife, I went there. I was a regular. So it wasn't like, okay, I married someone who is into the restaurant business and I like the food. I always like the food. Okay? And in fact, I'm her husband, but I still pay when I go there.
Nice.
And I pay every time I'm there because I never wanted someone to think otherwise. Okay?
Right.
All right?
Wise.
That being said, it's Frisco by Scotto, 52nd between Park and Madison.
Okay.
When you go in there, Jenna is at the front desk. You say that you're a friend of Brett's.
Okay.
52nd and
Between Park and Madison.
Hey, Alex, watch them grab him by his
Now
tail.
listen,
and his
I
back
want
of
to
his
tell
shirt
you
and throw
something.
him
Throw him out. He's gonna throw him out.
I
Brett's
got to
a
tell
friend
you
of
one
mine.
thing, though.
go ahead. I'm
New
listening.
York prices.
Okay.
Okay? All right?
He's-
But you'll go in there. They'll do right by you.
Yeah,
Just
he's-
use my name.
Hey, and then the place you gave us here in Dallas, the one that you were saying-
Albernay.
Albernay.
Best steak place in town.
That's one we got to write down.
I'm serious. Unreal.
Commissioner, we love it. Very generous with your time and your food suggestions. I mean, that's what we're here. Half of the trip is.
You guys are foodies?
Look at the size of these guys.
Yeah, crazy.
1,000%.
Come on.
All right. Well, I love it.
That's
I
why we
love
have
it.
Pop-Tarts at the table.
No. I love the Pop-Tarts. I'm like contemplating, do I grab one or not, but I've decided to stay away from it.
You know
today.
what? Yeah, you're probably better off.
One
for it,
bite,
so.
370 calories. You'll be up to 160 tomorrow when you weigh yourself.
Well, remember the pop.
You don't want that.
The Pop-Tart counts as a day of meat. So
Well, all right. I'm out
Commissioner,
of here.
we
Guys,
appreciate
thank
it.
you so much.
Thank you. We
Okay.
appreciate you having us. There you go, Brett. Brett Yormark, Commissioner of the Big 12. Nice enough to carve out some time, and I'm just gonna go around New York City, start dropping his name everywhere, so I can get a discount.
I know Brett.
I can't wait.
How you doing?
I can't wait until PK says he knows Brett.
And then they go,
And they're like,
"What did you say?"
they take him into the back room and tack hammer his
I
hands.
know how to talk back there. I
Hey,
can drop
did
back
you-
in an accent like
Hey,
that.
did you get the answers that you wanted on the? I guess when it comes down to it, they're like, all we can ask these guys to do is to do 10 P4 schedule games.
Well, not all P4 is
Of course
created
not.
equal.
That's why I'm saying, like, I think your point, and I think telling schools like, hey man, sign up for 11 or 12 P4, like, and sign up for sign up for at least two non-conference ones that we can prop up at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, that's a lot though. They're like, you're asking these guys, you're telling coaches to tip the scale into a more difficult level for them, while the other schools like the SEC are taking advantage of the fact that they play 8 conference games. By the way,
I'm telling you, man, this is such a difficult thing because no coach wants to schedule anything difficult because one losing season and they're out on their heads. So a coach is going to be
what?
Their heads.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, not on their heads.
Tushes. Tushes.
No coach is going to walk into an athletic director and say, "Hey, get Alabama on here, get Georgia on here, get USC on here." Nobody's going to do that.
Yeah. Again, it's because they go, what's the path that these other schools are taking, and how can I be on that exact path to make it look like I'm doing the same thing that they are? But we got to get as many W's. College football is still on that moment where they feel like they got to get that 11-win season before they get taken seriously, and especially here in the Big 12, I think they feel like they have to do that too.
I was also surprised that he isn't governing that each school spend the full 20.5 and
on certain things,
and at least give.
I don't know how he can though.
Yeah, I don't either, but I just know that would give the conference. He talks about the security of the conference, knowing that every one of your institution is spending every penny they can on their athletic departments would go a long way to because PK, it's about the money.
Of course.
Who's spending? Kyle Whittingham said it. Follow the money. You'll find the champion.
Always.
But what's he doing
though?
They're being highly suggestive, right?
Well,
they go. Look, we have smart people who run these universities, and we're saying to them, look, I'm not going to tell you how to spend your money, but just realize that your schools are run by football and basketball and sports in general.
All 16 are happy right now. I agree with them, but none of the 16 have an invite to the Big Ten or SEC on the table.
I wonder what that $90 million that comes in just even from PayPal, $100 million over 5 years, so you're talking $20 million a year. So you split that up with the 16 teams, and then you're adding another. You're taking 15% of that revenue share off the table there, right? I mean, that's what we're talking about. Is that you don't have to worry about that number.
Well, yeah,
as much, right?
Okay, but that may be all well and good, but whatever you're doing, if it's really good, the Big Ten and SEC will do themselves, and they'll up their game.
Somebody might actually hear OC.
Oh, that's a shot. I would never do that because I don't want to get beat up.
I know, seriously. All it takes is one right hand.
Yeah.
And then we're all going to sleepy.
I think we're taking a quick break here before we get out because I think Kalani's going to walk over, and then we're going to have a hard out with him as well. And so, by the way, when the commissioner's having a good time, his people don't say wrap it up.
They didn't.
So that was nice enough because he was having a good time.
I went into my Jersey comedy routine there to get him to last longer.
You went into your Sopranos accent to take you seriously. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back. Our program brought to you this hour by the good folks at the Doug Smith brand of dealerships in American Fork, Spanish Fork, and in Linden. We'll come right back. We got more to go. Right around the corner, and we do have a Win Ticket Wednesday, by the way. We're going to give you is that tomorrow? No. What's today?
Today's Tuesday.
Today is Tuesday, so tomorrow is a Win Ticket Wednesday.
I'm missing my golf league.
So I think technically we are giving tickets away to the Summer Unity Tour featuring Collective Soul and Live and their special guest, Our Lady Peace, July 13th at Utah First Credit Union Amphitheater. You can get tickets at Live Nation or just listen all day tomorrow. We've got tickets to give away then. Stay here. More to go. 97.5 DKSL Sports Zone live from Frisco, Texas at the Star for the Big 12 Media Days.
Ready. Live from Frisco, Texas. This is the KSL Sports Zone coverage of the Big 12 Media Day. As we get you ready for the 2025 football season. Presented by Window World. High quality without high prices. That's the Window World way. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back. It is Big 12 Media Days right here in Frisco, Texas at the Star. We are eagerly waiting for Duff Tittle to walk over here and to get us Kalani Sitake, BYU head football coach.
I contemplated I only got so many more hours of work to retirement, and I just cut off 4 weeks today.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, you did. All one fell swoop.
He's Duff Tittle. He's joining us on the program right now.
He looks good. Last time I saw him, he was on his knees at the golf tournament.
Oh, did you struggle? Were you struggling?
He was putting in stuff for some holes, signs, or something.
Oh, I was going to say he's. The ring. He's.
Put that on there. You got to put that on.
Yeah, you have to.
You can't sit down at this table while we're live on air and not come on.
Especially if you're going to talk trash to PK, we'll turn it up for you.
We have to make this quick because Pine's going to come over and tell me what in the world are you doing.
What happened at the golf? What happened at the golf tournament, Duff?
Duff's a ringer, and
he was doing work of a man of his stature shouldn't be doing.
Which is what?
Oh, I forgot about that.
When I walked in at like 6:30 in the morning to get ready for the show, I see he's on all fours, like putting signs together and
handing out stuff.
Yeah.
Look, it's
I thought they'd have minions to do that.
Every guy's got everybody's got to be able to.
We live in tough times.
You are a minion.
Yeah, we do.
Hey. Pine caught me.
No.
Okay.
No, you're not in trouble yet.
Hey,
no. Kalani's still over there.
I want to know how'd the book do? How's the book doing?
The book's getting great, actually. Yeah.
Why not bring it up again right now?
I appreciate that, bringing that up. Yeah, 100 years of BYU football. Me and speaking of Pine.
Yeah.
Spent 2 years in the making, right?
Well, now hold on. And then did you get? Was it just you two, or did? Okay.
Yeah, just the two of us. Yeah, we actually met with the university and got approval to do it, so we could get into the bowels of special collections and see what was in there, and it was a lot of digging. I mean, there was like 2 years of really doing the research on that book.
So you guys came to the conclusion that 96 team was the best team in BYU history.
Here it comes. That's what they had to dig up.
We were talking about that earlier. That was my first year.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was a good year to come into BYU.
Pretty good year to start, isn't it?
I see. That's like walking into a casino and putting a quarter in and hitting a jackpot. It keeps you around for a long time.
See, that's how we keep Brett away. We were like, do we mention the book, dude? Come on.
That's what I'm going to tell them.
Of course. I can't believe
they wanted to talk about the book.
They wanted to talk about the book.
Pioneer will be all about it.
What was something in there, a little tidbit that you dug up from the archives down there? I used to love going down when I was a student. Yeah. I had a friend who was a security guy, who was one of the library security, which they take very freaking seriously, right? And like he'd be like, hey. And I'd get in, I'd be able to see some of this stuff. What did you guys find out?
It's pretty cool in there.
It is. It's actually it's amazing.
I've done 3 books starting back in 2007, and that's when I really found the archives. And you put on white gloves. You're looking through stuff that I was pretty convinced no one had seen in 100 years.
Oh my gosh!
You know, it's pretty cool. The pictures and things are it's kind of almost a little bit of a, I don't know. It was almost like the haunting a little bit, right? Because you were seeing people. These guys played 100 years ago.
Ghosts of football past.
It's really kind of weird. And I wondered when I got into the 50s, did any of these guys know my dad? You know what I mean? That kind of stuff. So, but I will tell you a really cool thing. For years and years, even after I'd written a couple books, I wasn't sure why could we not beat Utah in football for all those years, right? From 1922 when we started until not till the 60s did we start to win on a consistent basis. I think we won like 3 or 4 games
in 40-year time.
Oh, listen, Utah fans don't worry. They don't let you forget about. They're like, don't forget it. So isn't there a there's like a wrong?
The reason?
What was it?
So what it came down to was I actually got a hold of Ernest Wilkinson's journals that are actually in the archives and some notes that he used to write his book. So in the 100-year anniversary of BYU. In 1975, he did a 4-series volume about the history of BYU. And so I had access to his notes and some other things that were in there. And I found out that it wasn't until about the mid-50s when we finally were allowed to have athletic scholarships. So Utah State, Utah
were state-funded scholarships.
And they had athletic scholarships. We didn't have anything.
Interesting.
And so it was Ernest Wilkinson in about 1953 who finally said – and the coaches actually convinced him that, and the athletic director, who was Eddie Campbell, convinced him that, hey, if we don't get on board here, because Ernest was he was a purist in the world of college athletics, that it should be, he kind of saw that as we were paying athletes back in the 50s. Mm-hmm. And so as soon as that started to happen, then it took a few years to get going.
Did we is there disparity? I can't remember if the two schools have different years, as like maybe 1 or 2's off of when they actually, what is that?
I found that in the first book. So BYU played football in the late 1800s, 1896, 97, 98.
But we were a high school then. We weren't even a university.
BYUA.
BYUA. So it wasn't until 1903 till we became an official. They split, and the high school stayed here, and the school became a university. And so we don't have records of that stuff. We know the 6 games we played against Utah, but we don't. I mean, we played the YMCA, we played Fort Douglas, we played. You can't believe some of the stuff I dug up that we played.
Dude,
we were playing high schools.
The YMCA actually, the YMCA beat Utah and BYU pretty
Well,
regularly.
they love to stay there though because it was fun.
Nice.
It's always PK.
I love the pop culture reference, PK. Money.
It's always PK.
That was my kind of reference. He and I are on the same page.
So in the 40s, without athletic scholarships, it was Brother Olsen. You're being called to a 5-year service of the right guard position.
I was going to say,
that's what you got called to.
Or to coach,
or
to coach the outside linebackers. Of that same. That was the same calling.
So that was kind of my aha moment. It was like, you've got to be kidding me.
Yeah, that's
no
crazy.
No wonder, right? No wonder.
I never knew that. Never heard that.
And then within 10 years, Ernie made sure that we were building a new stadium.
Yeah.
And then that really changed because we were over there where the Richards building sits now with bleachers on the side of the hill, and it would only hold about 11,000 people.
Those old pictures are always fun to look at too,
Super
and you
cool.
go, "Oh my goodness, this is where the RB sits right now,"
Yeah.
and you're like, "Oh, this is a very different look over here." But yeah, stadiums and think about like your Carl G. Mazurs and your Ernest Wilkinsons and what they would think now about where college football is if they were purists back then.
That's what I thought when NIL came out, and I was in the middle of all this stuff.
You're
too.
reading it, and you're like, I'm
so
so sorry.
Can you imagine what Ernie Wilkinson would think now? He
roll
would
over.
roll over.
Yeah, the purist side is absolutely gone.
We're hoping Kalani has anything left in the tank.
He's planning on trying to get over here, but
been
we also
wrong
have
out.
a plane we got to catch.
He actually
so.
walked. Oh, yeah.
I'm just
that's
kind of
what we were-
like, what do you
no, that's
call it,
what we were
the
told.
warm-up act? I'm the warm-up band.
Oh, good. Duff,
And now, coming to center stage,
Duff Tittle nice enough to hang out with us at Big 12 Media Days here. And I was gonna say, we got to get Brett on and make him pimp the whole thing. See what he found too. See if it reconciles with some of the things But you guys always do a great job. You guys are super nice to be able to be accommodating with us. And yeah, Kalani today. This is about as long as a day as you can get. Normally we get him early, and it's for the sake of not having to figure out, catching the plane at the very end of the day. But thanks for hanging out.
Thanks, Duff.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, you bet.
Absolutely.
It's always a pleasure.
Big 12 Media Days are
hanging out with the legends.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
I was talking about PK.
No, I thought you were talking about
you
actual.
have to be a certain age to be a legend.
I don't know.
I thought you were talking about.
That's good and bad.
Take a look at his. Take a look at his socks, and maybe you'll change your opinion.
Oh yeah,
of him.
let's have a look here.
Get off my.
Interesting.
I just have the joy of socks. I don't understand why
you got to
he's
show
so
everybody.
Oh, there it is,
excited.
showing the true colors.
It was just a joke, and he just
There
blown
it
it
is.
up.
Hey,
He's
you
going to
guys-
get me fired.
Hey, listen, you out there in Radio Land, I know you heard Duff Tittle's eye roll.
I was going through my drawer for my socks to
there
come
it
to this,
is.
and I did pass on the Def Leppard socks, but I was close. I had Def Leppard and Johnny Cash going. Should I? Johnny Cash would have been sweet.
I
with
have
my
Johnny
black
Cash
outfit.
socks.
Yeah, I have some too.
Yeah.
Somebody would. No, that would have played well. Duff, we appreciate it, man. Thanks for hanging out.
Thanks for having me on, you guys.
Kalani's gonna be walking over here momentarily. So just hold the plane for a minute. These are private flights, man. You guys can hold the plane for the celebrities, man.
Well, they're stopping
This
over in
thing
Vegas.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're stopping over in Vegas. It's exactly what the doctor ordered.
Well,
I think.
it's good
Yeah.
that he does some out of town stuff. That's
I think it's pretty funny here. We've got they're prioritizing. Like, what is that?
I don't know.
Don't talk to the guys from Tulsa. Who freaking cares, Coach?
Yeah.
Get over here. This is where you belong, man. And Duff is over there. Duff is actually telling us too. He's telling Brett. He goes, no, I was talking about the book. Because Brett's like, what the hell were you doing on the air with those guys? I was talking about Def Leppard socks. I was trying to get them out of here. I think we might be able to sneak in a little bit of a break. Let's do that right now. And then when Kalani walks over, we'll make sure and get him on as soon as that happens. So stay right here with us. More going on here, Big 12 Media Days. This is when we start to get, by the end of the day, it really starts clearing out here, and you see the guys who are working the hardest. And it's Kalani Sitake. It's our program. And we might actually be having Kalani walk over here
no less.
at this point. He's pointing to somebody else. This is not what I wanted to see. He asked somebody to hug. He asked for a hug, I think is what it was. He's asking for treats to take on the
We
plane.
got Pop-Tarts.
Well. 6 or 7 minutes. We'll absolutely honor that. Well, bring him over here. Do we need to bring him a treat? Does he want a Pop-Tart for the road? He'd probably be okay with the coaches taking pictures, and so he's going to walk over. As soon as we get Coach ready and over here, let's get him on and let's make sure he's They all keep pointing at us like they're going to come over here, but then they never end up doing it. But Coach
makes it uncomfortable.
I know. He shakes every hand as he goes by here, too. Coach Kalani Sitake is going to put the headset on here and hang out with us as we get going here.
I told you guys it would happen.
Coach,
you know I'd come see you guys. I notice all the Pop-Tarts are...
No, they're not gone.
Oh,
How
yeah.
dare you? First of all, Brett Yormark endorses the
I'm disappointed that it's not gone. You guys,
they're mostly
kidding
gone.
me?
You know how we've gotten. We've tried to. We all have kids. Everybody has to pretend like we're all healthy now.
Bunch of
and trying to
wimps.
get going
I'm
here.
hiding my toaster in my bag.
Yeah, you're like me. I can't eat a Pop-Tart unless I toast it.
Just the two. I'll just take two. It's
There
no
you go.
problem. Coach Kalani Sitake, BYU football, of course. You're 10, Coach. We've had this conversation with you every year since you've been in since 2016.
Yeah.
What does year 10 Kalani Sitake look like? What is year 9, 0 through 9? What has that brought you to this point? What have you learned over these 10 years?
I've learned a lot. I mean, I could probably write a book about it. I don't plan on it. But
Have Duff do it. Have Duff and Brett do it.
Yeah, I have a ghostwriter do it.
I'll do
it. PK, you can do
PK
that.
can do it.
I've learned quite a bit, and I think coming into it, I'm really thankful that a lot of people have been patient with me as I go through that. I never said I had all the answers. I did say that I'm willing to learn as much as I can and hopefully get things fixed and get better as a coach. That's what I want to do. And when I first got the job, Tom Homo had a plan to get us ready for a power conference entrance. And part of that was our schedule needed to get harder. And I was okay with that. And I didn't mind it at all. And so, just as you look at it and you look at the experiences that we had with the schedule in the independence era, now that we're going our third year in the Big 12, it just feels like, oh man, I'm so glad we did that, and that Tom did all this work and helped us get to where we're at. And then he just said, I'll see you guys later. I'm going to go hang out in retirement, and then passed the baton. After the administration did their due diligence and interviewed a bunch of people, handed it to Brian Santiago, and away we go. So I'm excited to be in this position. I'm learning quite a bit. There's still a lot more for me to learn, and I'm trying not to make too many mistakes.
Hey, how did you hold on to your entire staff?
I think bribing them, and I actually,
Because that's crazy. Because I know that there were
I wish I could take
enemies
credit.
at the gates.
I wish I could take credit for that. I'll tell you this. I think the biggest reason why they wanted to stay is because of the guys that get to coach, the young men in our program. And then I think they also understand that there's a lot of really cool things happening, and I think they want to be around for that. So I wish I could say it's all me, but I also don't think I'm that hard of a boss to work for. I think they can be themselves and have fun, and
You prioritize family too. That's always been an answer that those guys give to.
Yeah, I think a lot of coaches do. I mean, it's not just me, but I think the key is just allowing them to understanding where they're at as a father. And the interesting thing is, I started to get older, and my kids got older, and I'm like, I forgot what it was like to be a young dad and to have babies and stuff like that, and then we get blessed with this baby.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, okay, I could have learned the lesson without. But
I have a
maybe a
solution to
niece
that,
or
but I'll tell you about it later.
now that baby girl's here, now that baby girl's here, and she's 2, almost 3. She turns 3 in a couple
that's
weeks.
crazy.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. So I've been enjoying the ride.
In my head, that was last summer. Isn't that funny how fast that goes? To be able to see that happen.
With the quarterback position now open, how different is training camp going to be? Because obviously you have a huge decision that needs to be made in August.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a little bit different. I mean, last year we were going through the same thing and trying to figure out who our quarterback was going to be with Gary Bohannon and Jake Retzloff.
That's right.
So we've been through quarterback battles before as a staff. A-Rod's done this before. I think the key is allowing McKay Hillstead to play and be himself and utilize his skill set, and then Trayson Bourget to do the same thing, and then Bear Bachmeyer do the same thing, and then Emerson. We have 4 quarterbacks that can spin it. So the goal is allow them to feel confident. That's the prerequisite that we have, is that you play quarterback, you should be able to throw the ball accurately. They can all do that stuff. Now the question is, who do we sink the reps into, and how do we create an environment where they can compete and actually earn the spot? And so as we go through that, I wish we could have done that earlier, but now that it's been on us, we have to do that in camp. When we figure that out, I'll let you know. But we have until the first game to get that done. But even throughout the whole process, that we've done this before. We've had a situation where we played a true freshman before. So the key is having the staff all together. Other people are going to have to step up, but I think a lot of people will rally around this.
But when you play that true freshman is when we were independent and you brought him in later, and the schedule back then usually was front-loaded, so the back end then was easier. It's reversed now, essentially.
Yeah.
Will that factor into it?
I don't know. It has to. I mean, I can't think like that. I have to think, can we play our best 12 times? And can we do it for 60 minutes consistently in 12 games? If I can get our team to do that, then we can earn extra time. So I don't know if I did a good enough job of that last year. I think we had some really cool wins and things like that, but my job as a head coach, at the end of the year, I was like, man, we should have played this better and this better in these games, and we should have put some games away. But you just can't say that. You have to work on it. So since December to now, we've had a deliberate movement to try to get better there. I don't know if it's going to be good enough because everyone's trying to get better.
Sure.
I mean, you got teams that are hungry and have had some hardships, and they're learning and they're trying to get better too. So you look at Oklahoma State and Utah and teams like that. They want to get back at it, and this conference is where the parity is crazy. So that being said, I need to focus on what we can do and get us to play at our best. And I think we'll have a best chance.
With that in mind, would you ever play 2 quarterbacks? Would you ever play one quarterback a half? I know you've been doing this a lot of years, but I know you're saying do the best we can.
It's not ideal, but maybe if we're going to do that, we might as well play 4.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's not ideal.
One quarter per?
Yeah.
One play.
Now's your moment.
No,
you know what I
I've
never
never seen that. I've seen 2.
We're gonna give them all one.
Don't dare me to do it. No.
We're gonna give them all one A-Rod trick play. And if they don't prove themselves on that one, then we're not.
No, I think that within reason, eventually they're going to have to feel like this is their team.
Yeah.
And they're also going to have to be able to not have to look over their shoulder and feel like, oh my gosh, I could be replaced at any moment. And we've got to get that done in the next little bit. Now, if someone's banged up, it happened actually to us last year. Gary Bohannon was on a great momentum and he was improving. He's doing some really cool things, and then he got banged up a little bit. And so that affected the competition. So when that happens, if that happens this year, then we'll have to adjust. But we've been through all these adjustments before. It's just hard to say it now when we haven't even started practicing yet. I'd like to get to practice soon, and then you guys can ask me every day, how's it going?
And we will.
And I can tell you, the classic, we'll have it ready by game 1. And you'll say, PK, you'll say, when do you plan on having it named? And I'll say, before the first game. Stuff like that, all the fun things.
Mitch, I appreciate your question. You're going to get a lot of that. Mitch Harper just hounding the absolute heck out of you. And that's fine. That's what they're there for. That's what we got to try to figure this thing out. Hey, in the 10 years that you've done it, what are the things that you're like, how hard has it been to relinquish some of the where you go, okay, I'm supposed to be kind of up here going down because that was Lavelle's thing, right? It was just like, I'm going to make sure these generals, they're going to make the decisions here. Have you felt like you've gotten better at that? And obviously with the staff guys that you have, I feel like you've gotten to a good point of being able to lean on those guys and let them make decisions.
Well, I think the delegation is a key, but just because I'm not calling the defense doesn't mean I shouldn't know the entire defense. Luckily, this is a defense that I'm that I'm very comfortable with and I understand. I mean, I cut my teeth in this defense the same way that Jay Hill did. And so there's a lot of when you're looking at it, it's like there's a lot of familiarity with it. In the offensive side, when it comes down to it, I actually watch more film than everybody because I'm watching the offense, the defense, and the special teams, and I actually like doing those things. I don't want to make every call on defense or special teams or on offense. Just show me what your plan is, and then I have to decide if that's going to be favorable for us on I kind of take the mindset of looking on the opposite end. And then I have people on our staff that can do that too. I have Gary Anderson and Chad Kahaha that can do that. We have a lot of coaches that can kind of play the devil's advocate of the other side. And so that's the preparation that I go into. But I'm okay with not making the calls. I just want to know what the down and distance is, and if we're going to go for it on fourth down.
That's your call.
Yeah, I like that stuff. You know, it's like, this is.
And if you get the first down, it's the right call. If you don't, it is a horrible call.
Yeah. It's like, A-Rod, what did you call? Did you know it was 4th and 5?
Right.
Yeah, I got them all figured out, but no.
You talk to Greg and Hans. I don't.
For me, I love the game, but I can't be the guy that decides everything. That's why I have a general manager that handles the rev share and the NIL part of it. So I have a DFO that handles the travel and handles our chief of staff handles the support staff. We have recruiting staff that does all that stuff. If I have to do it all, then when am I going to sleep?
Yeah.
And so I'm lucky that I work around amazing people that can get it done. And this is a complete team, and this is I enjoy doing this part. Do I miss calling the defense? Of course. Are you kidding me? Like, yeah, but if I'm on the headphones, I'll be like, man, what about? I'll tell Jay, what about this call? And Jay would be like, yeah, I was about to say that. That happened more this year than ever before. I said, Jay, are you thinking what I'm thinking? He's like, yeah. I'm like, all right, let's go.
Punt.
And so,
Jay.
It's like same thing with A-Rod. I said, A-Rod, what you like here? And Fessy, what do you like? And I like being on the same page as them.
Sure, it gives you confidence.
Yeah, and then K-Pop does an amazing job with special teams too. So I feel like they're all my guys, and I don't know if I have a great influence on them, but I can vibe with them all at the same level.
Seems like you're getting, and I know you can't mention names or anything, so it's just be general, but you're getting a ton of people committing. It's like 1 or 2 a day, it seems. What do you attribute the success to?
Well, I think the goal, as I go and talk about recruiting, the transfer portals allowed us to have guys that we felt like should have been ours from the beginning, and for some reason, one way or another, they didn't think they could get stuff done here at BYU. I think a lot of that had to do with independence. Yeah, and when people recruited against us, they're like, well, you don't want to go there. They're not in a power conference. And now that we've been in the power conference, there's no excuses to not choose it. I mean, when you just like, okay, so now what's the reason? And I mean, I haven't heard a good one. And so if guys would love football and they want to be here for the right reasons, come. I mean, we have a system that's in place that if you want to take advantage of the time that you have, this is it, and put your time in and have a great life afterwards, get a degree, have an opportunity to play at the next level. We can do all that and then build your network. So that's I mean, I think it's a great recruiting pitch, and then they get to be around our fan base and the support that we have around it with our mentors and our donors and our alumni, and it's amazing.
Coach Kalani Sitake, you've got a plane to catch, and we're going to let you do that. Oh,
the boosters.
I can do whatever you guys.
They wait for Kalani.
Hey, Brett, he says he's good for the next hour.
Brett knows. If you give me a sandwich, I'll be happy. That's all that matters.
Get him a sandwich.
Yeah, I'll just show up to the next one and be like, yeah, those guys, man, they took all my time. Hans.
I can give you a bologna sandwich. I do that all the time.
Oh, I love bologna sandwiches.
I'm full of bologna.
That's not the PK bologna sandwich. You don't want that one. Coach, we appreciate you.
You guys are awesome.
Time.
Thank you.
Safe travels on the way back to Provo. And,
take care, guys.
We'll talk to you again this season. There's Coach Kalani Sitake. There you go. Another one in the books for Coach. We appreciate him taking extra time, and we've got so much still going here. We've got another at least a half an hour to be able to get you going. And no, we're going all the way up till 7 p. So
let's go to 8. Why not? Come on, let's go to 9. Let's just stay here. Let's sleep here.
Stone's about to push. He's about to punch somebody. All right, we'll take another break here. We'll come back. We've got more, and we'll keep it going here. We've had as much as we could talk about on this first day here. So we'll break some of that down before we get out on day 1, and then we'll get you ready for day 2 of Big 12 Media Days right here in Dallas, at the Star in Frisco on Big 12 Media Days. Hans Olsen, Patrick Kinahan, Alex Kirry. We'll be back. More to go. 97.5 BKSL Sports Zone.
You're locked on to Big 12 Media Day coverage, live from Frisco, Texas. Presented by Window World. Want a window quote without all the baloney? High quality, amazing prices. Check out Window World today. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Day one has been going swimmingly. Lots going on here at Big 12 Media Days, live from Frisco, Texas, at the Star, the Omni Hotel connected to here. I'm not sure what the relationship is with this building and the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, obviously, but I mean, like Valley Ranch is where they do all of that's their actual, like, practices. That's where they actually train and everything. And I think the team might come over and do some things over here. It's a beautiful facility. It's awesome. And a lot of high school games are played in this building now, too. But Frisco was literally a one-horse town when I was growing up in this area. And now, like so many places in the Metroplex, it's blown up. And today it's a hub. We're watching every different mascot from every different team across the Big 12. Half of the teams here, of course, represented on day one.
Vegas is a better host.
You think so? I loved Allegiant.
This is running better in terms of how they're managing it.
Yeah.
But Vegas is a better host.
They know how to host this kind of stuff. And I bet Yormark, if he had his choice, would probably say yes. But, they're based out of here. The Big 12 offices are still here in Dallas. So
right.
It's
more convenient for them.
It's probably an easy one for all of them and all their
It'll
staff.
never come back to Vegas.
I wish it would, man.
I don't think it will.
It's a friggin' party, man. Now, it is weird at the end of the day when you walk out, if there's not a soul around Allegiant Stadium, and you get over there to the place. But it has been a lot better of a situation this year. Brett Yormark, the commissioner of the Big 12, doled out some of his comments today from the podium. By the way, Hans Olsen, Patrick Kinahan, Alex Kirry, we appreciate you joining us on the program today. And as we get you going, we didn't get to any of the comments that we heard from Brett Yormark earlier. We want to be able to get to those. He is, of course, he's the guy, so he's got to tell you that the health of the conference is going well. Here's what he had to say at the podium today at Big 12 Media Days.
As you just saw, it was a remarkable year for the Big 12, on and off the field. It marked our first season as a 16-team league spanning 10 states, 4 time zones, and it exceeded even our highest expectations. Each of our 16 institutions contributed immense value to the conference. Arizona State earned its way into the CFP and played in a thrilling Peach Bowl. Colorado produced a Heisman Trophy winner. 31 Big 12 athletes were selected in the 2025 NFL Draft, which matched the conference's highest total since 2005. Beyond football, BYU brought home 2 national championships in cross country. Houston men's basketball made a dramatic run to the NCAA national championship game. TCU reached the Elite 8 in women's basketball, while their beach volleyball team won the national championship. Utah made it to the gymnastics finals and won a championship in skiing, while Oklahoma State captured a national title in golf. As the year came to a close, Texas Tech softball captivated the sports world with a run to the national championship, while Arizona advanced to the Men's College World Series. To put a bow on the year, I'm excited to announce the winner of the first ever Commissioner's Cup, an award created to honor the Big 12 program that excelled both academically and athletically throughout the year. This year's winner, Arizona State. Congratulations to President Crow, Graham Rossini, and the entire Sun Devils community. I also want to recognize the recipients of the 3rd annual Bob Bowlesby Award, given to student athletes who exemplify leadership and achievement both on and off the field. This year's honorees are Travis Hunter from Colorado and Megan Hunter from BYU Track and Field. A huge congratulations to both of you. While it was a great year on the field, it was equally impressive off it. We launched 2 branded media platforms, our linear channel, Big 12 Studios, and Big 12 Radio on TuneIn. These platforms have provided the Big 12 with year-round storytelling and has enabled us to promote Big 12 student athletes of all sports. Earlier this year, we announced that TNT will be joining the Big 12 family as they will broadcast both football and basketball starting this fall. Their digital platform, Bleacher Report, will also be heavily involved in promoting our league. Our social media following grew by more than 200,000 this year, solidifying our place as the second most followed conference on Twitter and Instagram. Our commercial business continues to grow rapidly, as evidenced by our recent announcements with PayPal and Microsoft. And I do anticipate there will be more announcements like this in the very near future. Looking ahead, our focus remains on thriving in this new era of college athletics. Strengthening our football product remains essential. We are committed to continued investment and growth. Every school in our league has committed to providing the highest level of benefits to our student athletes. And once again, I believe we will be the deepest football conference in America. No league offers the competitive balance that we do. Last season, the Big 12 led the nation in fourth quarter lead changes and go-ahead scores in the final minute of conference games. And this year, our star power, especially at quarterback, will be on full display. The Big 12 returns 9 starting quarterbacks who threw for over 2,400 yards last season. The rest of the Power 4 combined, just 11. We also boast one of the nation's top coaching lineups, from Hall of Famers to rising stars. I fully expect the Big 12 to earn multiple college football playoff bids this year, and to show once again that we can compete with anyone. Speaking of the CFP, we continue to believe the 5-11 model proposed by the Big 12 and the ACC is the right playoff format for college football. We want to earn it on the field. We do not need a professional model because we are not the NFL. We are college football, and we must act like it. There is nothing in sports like college football, and we must protect what makes it special and do what's right for the fans and the game. Beyond football, growing our commercial business remains a top priority for our conference. We continue to lead as a conference of innovation, pushing boundaries, and creating new opportunities. Our PayPal partnership is a perfect example of how we're leveraging the full scale of a 16-team league. This requires great collaboration with our schools and their MMR partners. We have strengthened our business and brand infrastructure to ensure we can execute at the highest levels while supporting our schools more effectively. Last week, we announced a new leadership structure featuring Chief Brand and Business Officer Tyrell Kirkham and COO and GC Jessica Presnell, who will play a key role in this effort. We've also consolidated all of our business verticals under Big 12 Enterprises to create a more seamless approach for the marketplace. This restructuring positions us for long-term success in the evolving college athletics landscape. From a brand perspective, the Big 12 profile is as strong as it's ever been. We truly have become a national conference, and our narrative has extended beyond the sports page. This year, you'll see us double down in that effort, including exploring documentaries and storytelling opportunities, new ventures in licensing and collectibles, a continuation of our partnership with WWE, and a new partnership that will give every Big 12 student athlete their own custom app, completely free, to help build their personal brand. Establishing and maintaining our position within the Power 4 also remains a key priority for us. And frankly, I feel better about our position than ever before. I will continue to collaborate with my commissioner colleagues on a new governance model that will provide the Power Four with more autonomy and influence around decision-making in key areas. We anticipate this being done sometime in August. We will also advance our work with the College Sports Commission and CEO Brian Seeley. One of the primary goals of CSC is to change the market from pay-for-play to a market of true third-party NIL. The CSC's enforcement of punitive measures towards those who break the rules will change behavior in college athletics. It is crucial that CSC leadership, my Power Four colleagues and I continue to spend the time necessary to guide and partner with our schools into this new age of college athletics. Alongside the CSC, we will still need congressional help, and we continue to work towards that. This is a defining moment for all of us, and one that we need to take full advantage of. There has never been a better time to be part of the Big 12 than right now. Our football product will compete at the highest levels. We've been the best conference in men's basketball over the last 10 years, and we are doubling down on women's basketball and Olympic sports. We have a board and AD room that is unified with a clear vision for the future. We are in a period of change and growth for our industry. But as we enter into this new era, I can promise one thing: the Big 12 remains open for business. We will continue to reside at the intersection of sport, culture, and business. We truly are a different league. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner. We will start by opening up with questions. First question, Brett Murphy, newly minted On3 reporter.
How you doing, Brett?
It's good to see you, my friend.
You too. This is your third anniversary as Commissioner of the Big 12. Happy anniversary.
Thank you. Thank you.
How would you evaluate the improvement and changes of the league since you first arrived?
Great question, and thank you for that, and I'm going to give that answer in a moment. I'd be remiss if I didn't wish my son a happy birthday on his 21st, which is today. I know he's watching, so Drake, I love being your dad. So Brett, to your question, I'm thrilled with where the Big 12 is right now. You know, 3 years ago, I didn't walk on the stage, I sat on the stage, which was a little uncomfortable for me. And I said I wanted to modernize this conference. I wanted to be more contemporary. I wanted to get on the consciousness of future student athletes. I wanted to create a foundation that would enable us to succeed. I wanted to be a national conference. I wanted to double down with ESPN and Fox. We've done all of that and more. I love the trajectory of this conference. I love where we're going. Our schools are making incredible investments in infrastructure, performance, and student athletes. It's everything I could have wished for when I took this job 3 years ago, but I will tell you, we're just getting started. This conference is today not the best version of itself, but we will be sooner than later. And as I said earlier, we have a unified board, an incredible group of ADs. We share in the vision for this conference, and I'm excited about our future. But thank you for the question.
Gentleman in the, is that a tan blazer, I believe?
Yeah, I'll call it that. I think that's about
Great.
right.
I like that tan blazer.
Well, thank you.
Okay.
Brett, I'm wondering, what could good attendance and a successful kickoff game in Ireland this August mean for future Big 12 international expansion? And I'm Ben Hutchins with the Quad City Times.
Yeah, great question. Listen, I've been on the record to say that I want this conference to be a global conference. I think we can win globally, big time. Playing in Ireland, obviously, is that first step. We'll return there next year, as I said in my opening comments. There's a good chance we'll be in Mexico City next spring for baseball. Baylor's kicking off, the women are, the basketball season in Paris this year. And we're having conversations with other countries throughout the world that are very interested in bringing the Big 12 to their marketplace. So I think the game in Ireland is an impetus, if you will, for future global expansion, and I'm all in on it. I think it's critically important, for our conference. Thank you for your question.
Great. We'll go to Big 12 legend Barry Trammell.
Barry, it is great to see you. You asked me, I think, my first question 3 years ago, if I'm not mistaken.
I can't remember.
Do you remember that?
I do not remember that at all.
Yeah, I think it was about the TV deal, or maybe it was about Oklahoma and Texas. I don't know what it was, but
it was some nonsense.
Yeah, it was some nonsense. You're right. But go ahead, my friend. Good to see you.
You mentioned the Big 12 support for 511 model. Last season, the committee didn't show much respect to the Big 12 in its final rankings. Is there a tightrope you have to walk when you're trying to decide whether to support the 511 or the automatic qualifiers? Getting two automatics might be enticing after the respect that the committee failed to show you.
I have a lot of faith in the selection process. I was recently in North Carolina. We had a CFP meeting that was hosted by the executive director, Richard Clark, who is here today. Welcome, Richard. They are doing a full audit of the selection process to figure out how they can modernize and contemporize, and how they use data, and how certain metrics can be more heavily weighted. Most importantly, they have a great leader, Mack Rhodes of Baylor. And I have a lot of faith in Mack Rhodes and the work he's doing with the selection committee. So I have a lot of faith in what they're doing. And 511 is fair. We want to earn it on the field. It might not be the best solution today for the Big 12, given your comments about AQs. But long term, knowing the progress we're making, the investments we're making, it's the right format for us. And I'm doubling down today on 511. And I know Jim Phillips will, and I'm sure some of the other conference commissioners will as well.
Go ahead.
Tyler Budge, CF Budge, kind of pick.
Tyler, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, Brett. How are you?
Is this your first media day?
It's not. It's like 4 or 5 at this point.
Okay, good to see you.
Thank you. Kind of in the same vein with the 511 model, it's been talked about how some of the criteria for the committee might change with the adoption of that model, at the promise of factoring in strength of schedule more heavily. I know you just touched on it a little bit, but talking about those factors changing and the criteria changing, how does that factor into your support of that model?
Listen, I'm going to defer to Richard Clark. He's here today, but I think as you look at how things are weighted, the different metrics, strength of schedule matters. And there's some new metrics that are going to be brought into the puzzle, I think, as well, to complement what's already there. So again, I'm confident we'll get to the right place, and ultimately I'm confident we'll go to 511.
Great. We'll go to Melissa. While we wait for the mic, everyone should know Melissa, who's about to ask this question, was my 7th grade basketball coach.
Where's Melissa?
Make sure you show her the love. And I also was team MVP. Not that anyone has, but.
I don't know if we need to verify the team MVP thing, Clark, but I'm going to let you have it.
Melissa,
still send my box score.
Melissa, was he any good?
Listen, Clark was the best player on a very middle school basketball team. That's
what I do best. Best out of mid.
So you're saying he was an outlier on a team that wasn't that good?
You know what? I like the way that you phrased that. That's why you're up there and I'm down here, right?
Okay. All right. Clark, congratulations. Okay.
I feel like we've derailed this whole thing, but it actually segues nicely into my question. So thank you, Clark. Melissa Treebwasser with Frogs Insider.
Nice to see you.
You mentioned doubling down on women's basketball in the Olympic sports in an era of rev share where I would say every fan base wants every dollar thrown to football. What is that practically going to look like in this conference?
I can't speak for our schools because obviously they determine how they want to slice the pie, if you will. But I can tell you in conversations, women's basketball matters. And it matters to our conference. We want more linear exposure for our games, which we're working on. And, from a conference perspective, we're looking to elevate and amplify women's basketball in all the right ways. Candidly, last year I went to more women's basketball than I did men's basketball. I've become a big fan. So we're going to work to double down, as I mentioned in my comments, and I'm excited about where we're going. Thank you for your question.
Next question.
How you doing, Brett?
How you doing?
I'm Jerry Ramirez with RedRaidersports.com.
Red Raider, did you say?
Red Raider Sports, yes, sir.
Okay, and is this your first media day or not?
That's my second one.
Second. How do you like the setup versus Vegas?
I wasn't in Vegas last year. I went to Arlington the year before that.
But what do you think about it here?
It's pretty nice.
You like it?
Yes, sir.
It feels big?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Okay, good.
I like
Thank
it.
you.
Yes.
Awesome.
The stage is nice.
The stage is nice?
Yes.
Great.
You've put a big emphasis on expanding the conference's brand nationally and globally, like with the partnership with the WWE. Have you seen that partnership impact the conference, and do you have any more details on like future plans with the WWE?
We're going to make an announcement when, Tyrell? Tomorrow. So I can't give it to you today, but we're making an announcement regarding WWE. We're going to double down with them. I can tell you that when we do collaborative activations, the engagement on social media is the highest we experience from a conference perspective. They are a terrific partner. They've been with us since day one. They continue to grow with us, and we'll have an announcement tomorrow that will answer your question. But be rest assured they're part of our plans today and moving forward. Thank you.
Go to Mitch Harper with KSL.
Yeah, Brett, right over here.
Oh, good.
Mitch
Now,
Harper.
you've been here a couple of years.
You know me. I'm always here.
How are you today?
Doing great, Brett. Mitch Harper, KSL Sports in Salt Lake. I'm curious, you mentioned that you believe this is the deepest football conference in America. How critical is it, though, for your league to have one or two brands that emerge annually as playoff contenders in your viewpoint?
Critical. I like how you stated that. You know, I think parity matters, and I think ultimately over time, and it's hopefully sooner than later, there'll be a couple of our schools that will emerge, you know, as elite schools that are always part of the conversations at the highest levels, and that's what we're working towards. But it starts with parity and being competitive top to bottom, and I think we're there. And I think we're the best in the conference, or in the country, when you think about how deep we are, top to bottom. But I do believe that long term, you need certain schools to emerge to the top, and I think we're getting there. But great question. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you again.
You got one
You
more.
have one more. This will be the last one.
Right here, Commissioner. Hello.
Nice
Max Peta, Walter Cronkite Sports Network.
Is this your first?
This is my first media day.
What do you
yes. It looks great. Absolutely great.
Have you experienced any other conference media day?
I've watched them on TV, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, welcome.
Yeah. Thank you, Commissioner. My question, the coaches and athletic directors made the decision to forego the preseason media poll. Obviously, it's no secret Arizona State was picked to finish dead last. Is this a trend that we're going to see across the rest of the sports, including basketball and others? How involved were you in that decision? And do you feel like that this is maybe a positive trend that foregoing preseason media polls is the best for the sport?
Well, it was the coaches poll for our conference, and I think it disadvantaged Arizona State last year. They were picked 16th, and I think that hurt them. And Scott Draber, our chief competition officer, and I discussed this. I think there's no value. And I also feel that with the transfer portal and with roster management and what goes on, you know, as you build that roster, no one knows what they really have. They know what they have on paper, but it hasn't played out. And that was the case with Arizona State last year. So I don't know if it's a trend or not, but certainly it's the right thing for the Big 12, and I'm glad we did it. But thank you for your question.
I'll just add on to that real quick as our department kind of runs the media portion of that. It is not indicative of a future trend in any other sports. This is solely a football decision. Obviously, any future sport decisions will be unrelated to this one. Now we do have one last question. I apologize.
Where's that?
Hi, Commissioner.
Hey, how are you?
Good. Joe Londergan with Latavius Murray's Knights 247. Regarding the media poll that the last gentleman just asked about, sorry about the feedback, but I guess is cutting back on that a way to eliminate any misperceptions of teams that are in the running for the college football playoff as well?
Well, I mean, I guess collectively, you know, that could be some rationale. But for me and for the conference, we don't want to disadvantage any of our schools because again, with roster management and the transfer portal, no one knows really what they have until they take the field. And I think it was the right decision for us, and I'm happy we made it.
All right, that was Brett Yormark, the commissioner of the Big 12. Appreciate getting that audio. Obviously the
the health is strong. The state of the conference is strong, PK, with Brett Yormark. That's the message. And how do you think he's doing? Is it year 3 now that he's already been doing this thing? I mean, he took over from Bob Bowlesby, who was the commissioner of the Big 12 for so many dang years. At the very least, you can't deny the guy is a marketer by nature, man.
Basketball has taken care of itself, so you got that. And football, I think that it had a good enough first season in its new configuration. I think that if the Sun Devils had gone down to Atlanta and got blown out by Texas, it would be a sour ending.
Yeah.
But that's not what happened. Obviously, there was a controversial non-targeting call, blah, 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 and then a double overtime. So it was the best bowl game that we had.
Sure.
And so I think the Devils have never gotten more run for losing ever. And I think the conference got a run for losing because they played Texas so tough. So that gave it some credence. Now they got to build upon it, not just the school. I'm talking about the conference. We're going big picture. We're not talking about individual schools.
Yeah.
As we were talking about earlier, they need a team to be in the top 10 and then stay there. And if have that team do well, maybe even win a playoff game, that's the only way they're going to get that second team in. You know, for years, when it was just a 4-team playoff, the Pac-12 doesn't have a team in. USC, like in 2016 in Oregon and Washington, but those were so long ago as we got into the 20s, and it became like, Phil Mickelson has not won a major, and it's like it takes on a life of its own. And I think that that's what could happen to the Big 12 until they get a second team in, whenever that might be. Hopefully for them, it is this season. I'm talking for the conference sake. I don't care which team it is in there besides the automatic qualifier.
Let's take another break here. We'll come back. When we return, let's listen to Chris Kleiman, who's the head coach of the Kansas State Wildcats, another team that's in that mix as a contenders for this season, the Big 12. Stay here. 97.5 EKSL Sports Zone.
Live from Frisco, Texas. This is the KSL Sports Zone coverage of the Big 12 Media Day. As we get you ready for the 2025 football season. Presented by Window World. High quality without high prices. That's the Window World way. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back. Big 12 Media Days right here. Final segment of the day as we get you ready. By the way, we're going to do all this again tomorrow. No problem. Patrick Kinahan, you got Hans Olsen, you got myself, Alex Kirry, Stone, our producer here on site, and then Alex Napolis hitting the buttons back in Salt Lake. We don't want to go without mentioning how much hard work Stone has been doing.
Give it up for Stone.
Yeah,
Stone's been He's been a rock. See what I did?
We'll be here all week. No,
There he
literally
is,
at
Stone.
this point. So take a listen, though. This is Chris Kleiman, the Big 12 Media Days, the head coach of Kansas State at the podium. Take a listen.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. It's great to be back in Dallas for Media Days, and we're excited to get this season started. It's starting much earlier for us and for Coach Campbell at Iowa State. I think our guys have another maybe 10 days of workouts, and then we get rolling and get started. And so vacations are a little bit shorter, but what an opportunity to showcase the Big 12. And I think that's the biggest thing about the Ireland game with the Aer Lingus Classic is for us to be on that center stage representing this great conference with two great institutions playing in a week 0 matchup. And what a great time to have that game. So we're excited about that opportunity. But it's just been a busy summer, and we're excited about getting going. We're thrilled. Thanks for Commissioner Yormark for all your hard work. Thanks to President Linton at K-State, our athletic director, Gene Taylor, for the support and the great opportunity you give our staff and our student athletes. So we'll open up for questions.
If you have a question, please raise your hand until we have a microphone holder next to you. Okay, we'll go here center right.
Hey, Coach. Ben Hutchins with the Quad City Times. I'm wondering, what did you first think when presented with the opportunity to play in Ireland? And specifically, did you have any reservations about moving a home game to a neutral site?
Yeah, Absolutely, we had reservations about taking a home game out of our community and our economy, but just talking to our athletic director, it just gave our kids an opportunity. There's 10 kids, 5 kids, I don't know how many we have on the roster now, that are going to get a chance to go abroad. I got a chance to go over there in February for the first time with my wife, so I thought it was a great opportunity in that respect. And 18 months ago, this is the greatest thing. Now it's coming up on us pretty fast. And for our people back at home, all our admin that are putting this trip together, especially Casey Feldkamp, I can't thank those people enough. They're doing the real hard work of the logistics of getting everything organized. We couldn't do it without those people, but it's just a great opportunity for the Big 12.
Okay, center right.
Hi, Coach. Kleiman, Alec Bussey, 24/7 Sports. I know you grew up in the state of Iowa. Not sure if you grew up in Iowa or an Iowa State fan, but I'm curious if you think back to your childhood, how much you have seen the Iowa State-Kansas State game evolve, change, and what it's like to be a part of it now and see its growth.
Well, let's get it straight. I grew up in Waterloo, Iowa, and I was a Northern Iowa fan, and that's where I played, was at the University of Northern Iowa. So I wasn't a Hawkeye or a Cyclone, I was a Panther. It's a great rivalry. I remember watching it all the time as a kid and listening to the games. And I'm a college football fan, and I'm a Midwest college football fan. So wherever I've been coaching in the Midwest, if there's a game that has Iowa or Iowa State, I'm probably tuned in just because I've got so many friends that went to those schools. I've got friends on both coaching staffs. And so I know that this is a great rivalry between Iowa State and Kansas State. Has been for an awful long time, and great respect between the two programs.
We'll go center left.
Coach Drake Toll, Locked On Big 12. Thoughts on it being an unprotected rivalry in the Big 12 and the possibility of linking this game in those protected rivalries moving forward?
Yeah, that's above my pay grade. I don't have a clue what's protected and what's not protected, when we play somebody, when we don't play somebody. I think that was probably the unintended consequences with getting as many schools that you have, is the imbalance of scheduling in every league. I couldn't even tell you. I know who we play this year in all of our games. I couldn't tell you who we play next year, and that's probably a better thing.
Again, if you have a question, please raise your hand. We'll have a microphone holder come to you. We'll go center left.
JT Wisterfield, Locked On Utes. Coach, last year you guys fell short of media expectations. Just how do you view expectations going into a preseason? Do you like being the underdog, and how do you view all of that?
I try to ignore it as best I can. It's one of the reasons we as coaches did not do a coaches poll, because I think the narrative has really hurt our league. I know it hurt Arizona State, and I know it hurt BYU last year. I look at, meeting expectations, not beating. We won 9 games the last 3 years, which is pretty dang good. Not every school can say they've done that. But in 2022, when we won the Big 12, the best thing that those kids did was block out the outside noise. And I think that's the key in today's day and age of college football, of which team can block out some of those outside noise. And there's a lot of them right now, and come together as a football team. And that's the challenge for us as a coaching staff.
If you have a question, please raise your hand. We'll go to center right.
Kansas State Radio. Good morning, or I guess good afternoon. I'm a little weird on time.
Wyatt, great to see you.
My question is about the offensive line. You have 4 transfer students coming in there. How do you see them fitting into the mix?
I think when you look at our offensive line, Sam Hecht is the mainstay at center. I think he's one of the best in the league. Then you have Taylor Poitier and Andrew Leingang, and Taylor's been around almost as long as Stan Weber has in our program. But TP's a great player for us. Liney's a great player for us. But we needed some older guys as these younger guys grew. And George Fitzpatrick is one that was here in the spring that elevated himself to the top of the depth chart at left tackle. The other 3 transfers, we're excited to see this fall and this summer so we can figure out where they fit in and how much they're going to help us, because they're going to help us. And I think we'll play more in the offensive line than we have in the past because we have more depth. I think a name that a lot of people don't know about, you do and Stan does, is John Pastore. John missed the entire 2024 season, was penciled in to be in the rotation, if not a starter at tackle, and he's back now healthy this year and over 300 pounds and 6'6+. He'll be a big player for us. So I like where we're at in the offensive line, but we need to practice those guys all together and have that chemistry come together.
We'll go center left.
Hey, Coach. GoPowerCat.com, John Grove here. How important is VJ Payne's experience and playmaking ability to stabilizing the back end, and what roles do you foresee emerging players like Donovan McIntosh and Zayshawn Rich?
Yeah, great question. VJ is the unquestioned leader back there in the secondary, and VJ's been a 3-year starter for us. He's one of a handful of guys that started in a Big 12 championship at AT&T in 2022. And now has been a 2-year great player for us, and he's coming into his last year, and he's turned into one of our best leaders, which he needs to be. He needs to be more vocal, and I think he'll be a great sounding board for the young kids you talked about, Zayshawn and Donovan. Those 2 kids got a chance to play significant amount in the Rate Bowl, and both played really well. And this game's about confidence and belief, and I think they gained that confidence in themselves, and I know they gained the belief of their teammates, and that's a key thing. If you can gain the belief of your teammates, I'm excited about those young 2. But without a doubt, myself, Coach Kleiman, Coach Malone, we've got a lot of work to do in the secondary because we lost 3 NFL kids back there.
If you have a question, please raise your hand. We'll go to front row, center right.
Hey, Coach. Nick Hamilton, Nightcast Media. Wanted to ask you just what are some of the steps that you've seen Avery Johnson take as a quarterback as he prepares for this upcoming season?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is how he looks. He's put on probably 17 pounds of lean muscle mass, and he's filled out. He's not a sophomore anymore. He's an upperclassman as a junior, so his body's matured. He's taken everything very seriously in the weight room, in the nutrition, in the recover aspect, so his body's just a lot better. He's carrying a lot more weight, and he's faster, and that's something that we strive and we stress is you can get bigger, stronger, and also be faster, and he's done that. And then I think the other things, people have asked me a lot today, what one area? I think it's collectively in totality what he's going to be better at, and it starts with what he's going to see pre-snap and what he's going to go from pre-snap to post-snap. I think he's ready to take on even more things at the line of scrimmage, and everybody knows he's a terrific athlete in space, but he's also a really good thrower of the football, and I just think all the 13 games of experience he had last year will help him. And then another underrated factor that doesn't probably get brought up enough is he's got Matt Wells, and Matt Wells I think is one of the best quarterback coaches in the country. He's a close friend of mine, and we're so fortunate to have Matt stay with us, be the offensive coordinator, and be in that room with Avery, who's calling, and Avery knows Matt's calling the plays. I think that's really going to have a huge impact.
We have a question, center right in the back.
Hi, Coach. David Howman with Devils in Detail. Given your experience coaching in the FCS, both with Northern Iowa, where you played, and then later with North Dakota State, I'm curious what your perspective is on the college football playoff, being at 12 teams this past year and likely expanding beyond that with your experience having coached in the FCS playoff format and how that transitions with the FBS.
Yeah, I think a perfect landing spot would be 16. How we get to that, I'm not quite sure, but I think it would be 16, and I would eliminate the byes. I think that's something that everybody should play the same amount of of games. You know, there was 16 for a while in FCS. It went up to 24. But shoot, you had to win 4 straight weekends, so the best team would truly get to be crowned. And so I'd like it to get to 16. I know this. Everybody, the wear and tear on the athletes is real. I don't think we helped that at all by knocking the roster size down. I don't think that was a good move at all, but that's control what you can control. So that's gonna be a concern when you have fewer players playing that amount of games. But I'm excited about what I was able to watch last year of the playoff and the potential expansion here in another year.
Go to the second row.
Coach Lynn Harrington with Stay Alive in Power 5. How you doing today?
Good. How are you?
Good to see you again. So, over the last couple seasons, Kansas State has been one of the best rushing teams in the Big 12. However, you lost running back DJ Giddens. Can you talk about how the running back room is holding up with Dylan Edwards and the other running backs?
Yeah, I'm excited about the running back room. Before DJ Giddens, we had a kid named Deuce Vaughn that a lot of people heard about, and Deuce Vaughn may have been the best college football player I've ever seen. And people said, what are you going to do when you don't have Deuce Vaughn? And all of a sudden, DJ Giddens came on. We have running backs, and Dylan Edwards is a star, and he's a game breaker. And Dylan Edwards is going to be better because of a guy like Joe Jackson. That is another really good, talented running back. And they're both going to be better because of the ability for us to have more playmakers outside at wide receiver. We've always had really good tight ends, and that's no different this year. And then we have some younger players in that running back room that I'm excited to see how they grow. But between Dylan and Joe, they're 2 terrific running backs, and everybody saw Dylan Edwards' ability to be a game breaker in the Rate Bowl, but I think all those guys will be better because we're going to be better around them.
As Chris Kleiman, Kansas State is, of course, one of those favorites in the Big 12 to possibly take this one home. They've been a favorite for the last few years. Chris Kleiman has got a great program, but they've come up just a touch short, 9-4 the past 2 seasons, and we'll see how this thing turns out for Chris Kleiman and his guys. It's another year that they're a contender. When you have Avery Johnson at quarterback, you're not out of it. So let's take another break here. We'll say goodbye for this evening, and then we'll be back again tomorrow for another long day of tons of interviews. You don't want to miss it. Nobody's covering this Big 12 Media Days as good and as well as the KSL Sports Zone right here in Frisco. From the Star, for Hans Olsen and Patrick Kinahan, we'll be back tomorrow. We'll see you then, everybody. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.